share again the link, okay? So the meeting is being live streamed in a private session, you know, so I will share again the same way that I did the last time. There is a bug with Facebook. I need to solve this. But definitely you're all of you here, so no worries. Lara, so since you want to start, do you have any questions, something you would like to ask me?
Yeah. Hi. Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
You can ask me anything. Lara, do you have something you'd like to ask me?
I'm sorry. No, no. I thought that we will start with the our CV. So instead,
no, the actual format.
There will be your.
No. The actual format will be the first part, the theoretical, okay, which actually,
okay.
I'm going to talk enough based on these best practices that I have made a research and also that I've seen that they really work. And the second part is the hands-on training where I can give you more practical advice, what you can do to improve the existing CV or to answer any kind of questions that you might have. So no questions, Lara, is that correct?
No, not at the moment. Thank you.
So you can unmute anytime and let me know, okay? So no questions, so let's start. Again, sharing my screen. So this training for me, I think it's really, really important for both those that they would like to get direct clients and agencies. Of course, it's, I think, required 100% for those that they are going to get direct clients like Marion, Alban, or like you have like both different, let's say, types of strategies you would like to use this program to create. If you would like to create a CV or a document for your direct clients, I would definitely suggest you to create a portfolio instead of a CV, but I'm open to discuss it, you know, today, what you could like to send to direct clients. But definitely it's a good starting point for those that they would like to get messages, and those that like, when we created this guide, if we can say, was because I was receiving so many messages from people actually telling me, colleagues, translators, that I've been sending, you know, 200 CVs and even more, and I get no replies. So for me, it's not only to get the job done or to showcase, you know, your expertise through a CV, is actually to be able to trigger also an answer through your cover letter. So we're going also to discuss about the cover letter, which is the email. And yes, I'm going to share with you also some deliverables, the templates, checklists, key points, useful resources, and the last part will be the hands-on, like practical advice and feedback to your own CVs and answer any kind of questions. So let's start right away. I assume you see all of you. If there is anyone who cannot see my slides, it's now the point, you should be able to see my slides. So part first, okay, that's why it's 2 hours. General guidelines, preparation and planning stage, CV content by sections, CV format and layout. We're going to talk about the final check before you actually send, common pitfalls to avoid. And that's, I think, very interesting to know which of these we, all of us, you know, at least when we were starting out, we used to make. The second part is the do and don'ts. You know, we're going a more practical way, checklist. I'm going to share with you just to have them, you know, next to you whenever you would like to revamp any of your CVs and resumes, CV templates. Some of you have already been following the most modern way, like Lara mentioned. Key points, okay, for you, useful resources, and the actual frequently asked questions. So let's start. Before you start to write or update your CV, okay, remember the basic principles. So this training and the basic principles apply to both, you know, those that they would like to update their CVs, not only for starting out, but also like Marion or anyone else who are just getting their first clients using it. So general guidelines, it should be short, which means the ideal length for a CV is 1 to 2 pages. Before our call, I was on a mentoring session with a mentee of mine. He's based in Mexico, and he sent 3 pages of a CV, and actually repeating a lot of information in all of those. And actually he had even attached in the same PDF all of his degrees, certificates, personal information, letter of recommendations in the same file, in the same PDF, which he actually names it as a resume. Is anyone who does this? You can unmute yourselves. Okay, I cannot see your faces because I'm sharing full screen. my slides, but if anyone does, okay, feel free. We are going to change this, or I would like to know why. Okay, you're doing this just to understand. That's also, a discussion I would like to make. But definitely, I've made a research, so whatever I'm writing here is not my own opinion. Okay, is also from guidelines from official associations, okay, and professional associations, not only for our profession. So 1 page for the US is the acceptable length, and that's really important to be followed if we would like this to be accepted. And 2 pages is the acceptable length for the European market. Easy to read, okay? Both content and structure, they should be simple, okay? That applies to any kind of CV, any kind, like Julie, if you're going to create for your secretary, also you should follow those guidelines. It doesn't only apply for our profession like the language services. Structured, okay? All information is organized and in correct order. And some of you, as more experienced, you might tell me, why, Virginia, you're referring to so simple instructions? I can't tell you, I've seen so many CVs. Those are not for everyone very clear, okay, to be followed. And I've seen, those mistakes to be made, even from very experienced translators. So definitely I would recommend you, to at least review that you're following those simple, instructions. Concise includes everything that may be relevant. Relevant is a word that you might be hearing me saying many and repeating myself many times, okay, telling you this. Relevant to the reader. By reader is the end recipient of the CV, in this case, or any kind of document that you're writing, and in most of the cases, the evaluator of the CV. Clear, the recipient of our CV should immediately understand what we want to say and what we do. Okay, and I've seen so many CVs that you don't even mention what you do. So someone needs to go scroll down to see your education or even your recent experience to understand what you do. That should be clearly stated underneath your name. People, when they see it, they should really understand. I will let you know why in sort of time. Neat and professional use of bullet points and the tab, function to separate spaces. Accurate, the information contained should be accurate and true, because that's something also we're going to discuss. Some of you tell me, I cannot get clients because I don't have experience. Should I lie about this? No, I will never suggest you to lie, okay, to your clients, but I will give you some hacks on how you will be able to promote, okay, your strengths and maybe hide, drawbacks of things that you feel that you're not strong enough. Okay, that's definitely a discussion to go on. And I would like also your questions about this. Unique, it should be adapted for the specific project and position. If you can take away one thing, okay, about today's session, I don't want you to take more, it should be adapted. So we cannot, and I never suggest you to have one generic CV that applies to any kind of specialization that you might offer, that can be sent to any kind of agency, from pharmaceutical to legal or whatever, because that is the reason why most probably the end recipients of your CV, they don't reply to you back. If I see a generic CV that I don't understand the reason why someone is applying to my specific job application, specific project, I have an open, application, then most probably I won't reply back, because I understand, as a reviewer of a CV, evaluator, that this person or an HR department or whoever, is the recipient of your CV, hasn't taken the time, okay, to adjust it to this specific situation. So if they don't respect, my time, most probably that's why people, what they think when they don't reply to you back, given they are professionals, okay, I'm not talking about scammers or people that they don't reply because they are unprofessional. It should be unique, okay, really, really important. Unknown abbreviations should be avoided. And most, if you can understand from these guidelines, most of those instructions and this advice should be also used for your LinkedIn profile. Okay, as you remember, we discussed a lot about having a clear niche, a clear message that the people that they visit your LinkedIn profile, they should really right away understand what you do. And also the abbreviation is something red flag for me. I've seen so many times from our colleagues, even the language combination as an abbreviation is a red flag, especially if you're addressing, your LinkedIn profile or your CV to direct clients, okay? They are not supposed to understand what we mean by and to de, okay, English to Deutsch or German. And I've seen even more abbreviations, because I remember was a Finnish translator. She had an abbreviation of very well-known international, I don't know, authority or association about e-commerce, because that was her specialization. And I didn't realize what was it, okay? And she told me, but this is very well known. But do you think that your clients, they really understand? I don't, actually deny that might be, in your field very well known, but do your direct clients, they really understand? She told me, no, most probably they don't. So always, whenever you have in your mind, if you're going to use this or that in your CV or your LinkedIn profile, always have in your mind the end recipient, the text. That's, I think, the basics in any kind of copywriting course. When you go to any kind of copywriting, they will tell you to have in your head the recipient, the reader, of your text, document, whatever you're writing about. And any grammar and spelling mistakes should be corrected. Imagine in our profession that people, they expect that are, the experts, the linguists, to see any, mistakes that might be, because we didn't see it, or, I think, especially if they're going to be sent to agencies, no one is going to actually neglect that or doesn't see it, or, in my case, it's also a reason to reject an application when I see mistakes and typos and syntax mistakes in the email itself, I don't trust people. I feel, that they might not be able to deliver a high quality work, even if it's a different language, you might tell me English is not my native. Still though, okay. And also when I receive also inquiries from project managers that they don't speak very well English, or the written format, has mistakes, I don't feel, this trustworthy relationship to actually work with them. If they are PMs, especially in our industry, they should, at least write their emails or have them check to have no mistakes and have a clear message. And why I'm telling you that, I have been like more than 600 discovery calls, free calls, okay, that I have been reviewing marketing material from colleagues from all over the world. And I remember someone from Africa, and she was insisting, people are ghosting me, clients are ghosting me. They don't reply me back to my messages on LinkedIn, or they don't reply me back to my CV application. So, and I told her, after I have covered all of the most common, mistakes, and she denied everything, that she has not been making any of those mistakes. Can I review your material? And I have also mentioned, because here spoken English was not that good. So I told her, if your copy has any mistakes, that's the reason, people to go through not trust you, to actually get back to you for work. And she denied that. And then I review just a few first line of her about section, her LinkedIn profile. She was even repeating words. Like, okay, you might tell me that it was, mistake, but she has repeated words, and people, they see those mistakes and they pay attention. You always should have your copies reviewed, especially if they're publicly shared. Okay, grammar and spelling mistakes, no, and also repetition and things like that. Now, copies should be very carefully reviewed by us, and even a third person. I would definitely recommend you to do so. So, do's and don'ts shortly. What a CV, okay, should be short, comprehensive, easily legible, okay, organized, clear, accurate, true, unique. And also I would suggest you to include dates and numbers, because also something that we definitely neglect. Why is that? Because it's more trustworthy information. It's different to tell somebody, I took a course in copywriting, but you don't, refer to the date that you got it, or even, you don't refer to the authority that actually gave you the certificate. So people, they don't trust information that's very generic and doesn't, include information. But if you tell them, like, from that period to that period, I studied this course from this authority and I got this certificate with this number, you can find the link there, let's say, isn't it more trustworthy as an information? You don't trust those people. So also a project, it's different to tell them, I have handled big projects, and it's different to tell them, I have this big project like of 180,000 words that actually took part this time of period, also naming the period. That actually builds that trust, and people, they see actually the information and the importance of the information there. Don'ts, I wouldn't suggest you, but I'm open here to discuss if you have a different opinion. Abbreviations and acronyms, because most of the times we think that they're very well known. Like I see many translators, they have ATA certified. Okay. I assume, is there anyone who doesn't know what does that mean here? Valentina, you don't? ATA certified translator, what does it mean?
I do know, yeah.
Oh, you do know. So I assume that most of us, but if there is anyone who doesn't know, okay, please share this. But I doubt, for example, legal firms, let's say, they do understand, if legal firms or lawyers are your clients, they do understand, or they're supposed to understand what does it mean, ATA certified, unless they are in the language industry. So we make so simple mistakes that actually we don't understand that they are mistakes, because it's so very well known. But also, they don't work as keywords. Imagine someone saying like American Translators Association, member or certified member, which has so many keywords, American Translators Association, certified member, so many keywords, and having an ATA. So I would definitely avoid abbreviation acronyms for the reasons that I just mentioned. Calligraphy and strange fonts and strange formatting. I remember I received one CV when I was hiring, because I've been hiring the last years for my company, live people that they actually work there as employees. So I remember I received the one that was everything red, okay? Red letters, calligraphy, difficult fonts to be read. So it's not a taken for everyone, okay? So strange fonts, same formatting should be avoided. Again, spelling mistakes, syntactical errors, repetitions. And I'm going to review all of your CVs, okay? So if I see that you repeat the same information again and again, that's something we're going to discuss. The guy that I was just reviewing in the previous, my mentee, he had in 3 pages, the left part repeated. So he lost so much space, whereas he could use the repeated sections to actually include some information and have it sorted, like 2 pages. Too detailed, we don't need, I've seen, especially translators' CVs, academic reading, like without white space, without bullet points, full paragraphs explaining, which, okay, yes, I understand that you need to explain, in as much detail, but a CV is not the way, to be written. So you can use this type of academic text or full as an essay to a different type of document or a website, or I don't know. And also if it's without logical order, and we're going to discuss what this means. So let's start with a process that I suggest everyone to follow if they would like to update or just starting out to create their CV. There is the before part, that actually the planning and collecting information. And we're going to discuss what does this include. And I think that's the stage of writing a CV that most of us, we don't do. During the CV writing and the CV formatting, I think most of us will go right away to the CV writing. And the final check also, a stage that I would definitely recommend you to include, and sending an email, which we're going to discuss. Let's start right away what each of these phases include: preparation and planning. While planning what information to include in your CV, it would be advisable to take into account the following, okay? And that's also something I would like you to take into consideration for your LinkedIn profile, okay? Especially if you have a generic LinkedIn profile. What's the purpose of your CV? That actually should be a question to be asked for any kind of marketing material, portfolio, website. What's the purpose, okay? But since we're discussing for CV, for your CV. Who will be reading your CV? Do you know? Do you have a clue? Okay. Can your CV impress in 30 seconds? And I can tell you, because I did this research back like 5 years ago, this has been even shorter the time frame. They don't spend more than 10, 15 second maximum. Okay. Recruiters to actually reviewing your CV. And I know that might be sad, but I can tell you that I received 20 CVs in my email, even before posting any job application, before hiring. So it means that there is a huge competition out there. People, they're sending their CVs out there. And if I receive 20 CVs per week without having, a job application, imagine when I post a job application, how many CVs? And I think that's also one reason why the recruiters, they don't spend that much time, apart from the experience that they do have by reading, specific parts of the profile to understand if there is a candidate or not. So this is information you need to take into consideration. The 30 seconds, 15 seconds, they are not going to spend more time, especially at the first evaluation. If you pass through this stage, yes, they might, put a bit of more attention to reading the rest of the information. And I think that also applies to your LinkedIn profile. If you remember, I told you that the people, when they're going to evaluate your connection request message, they will visit your profile and they won't spend more than 10 seconds, like seeing your headline or the first 2 lines of your about section. They will have made, an idea like if you are a good candidate to be added to their network or not, or to continue the discussion or not. That's why it's really also important to follow this advice for your LinkedIn profile. So what's the purpose of your CV? What can it be? Is it to undertake a single project, which means that you apply on pros, let's say, for a specific job that is open right now? Is it to establish a long-term cooperation with an agency? It means that you have created a prospect list with your ideal clients and you're aiming on having a long-term collaboration. Is it to get a direct clients? Yes, there are some direct clients that they might ask you for your CV, especially if they have an in-house department or they're very experienced, in evaluating language professionals for their work. To get hired as an in-house translator, totally different. Should be totally different, both the information and the structure, especially if you're applying for an in-house position, okay? In comparison to a freelancing, project or career if you're pursuing CV, To get hired as an employee, administrative assistant, project manager, or we have here Julie that you might have, her CV for, her VA service, virtual assistant, Always adapt the content and format of your CV, taking into account the above, okay, mentioned information. So you need to know what's the purpose and accordingly to restructure the content, okay, and actually change the format accordingly. It's totally different in in-house employee CV from a freelancer. And I will show you why when I'm going to review and show you exactly how it should look or what sections your CV should include. Who will be reading your CV? That's the next question, okay, we just asked. Will be the HR department pro? Yes, some big companies, they have an HR department. Will be the owner or the CEO of an agency translation company when it comes, to actually small agencies. In my case, I'm also, the owner. And I'm also, at least at this stage, evaluate the actual CVs. Or in many cases, the vendor or project manager, especially if they are, if they have this role as well. What do they need or want to know about you? Have you ever asked yourself? And that's also one question, if you remember when you were creating your about section, what do they expect to see there so as to hire you, to establish a long-term collaboration, or to build that trust with you so as to give you or assign you a project in the future whenever the actual need arises? You need to create a list with all the information the recruiter or your end client would like to read there. Be in their shoes, okay? I will repeat that many, many times. Also for the LinkedIn profile, we used to write the things that we suppose that they are very important, like our degrees, our credentials, things like that. But the evaluator of our CV or even our LinkedIn profile, the visitors of our LinkedIn profile, they don't care, or at least it's not the first information they would expect to see there. It's the same in our CV that I see, for example, that you have as a first section, your educational background, which is not information that, an HR pro or the actual, evaluator of your CV would expect to see, especially if they're, in a hurry, would like to evaluate CVs to hire you for specific projects that you're applying. So first of all, create a list. And that's also an exercise that will help you also to revamp or update, let's say, your LinkedIn profile about section. And do some research before you send your CV. Okay, only include details that the reader would be interested in knowing. Be selective. And why I'm having this here, because the next time you're going to ask me, that's a very common question. Should I add this information, Virginia, in my CV? So should I, for example, include, that's a real example, okay? A CPD, a course that I had taken, let's say, from the US authority about maternity, let's say. I cannot recall exactly, but it was more or less something medical. And I asked, the person who asked me, so she was actually an interpreter conference for politics. And she was going to apply at a project that would take place in Istanbul, okay? And it was politics. And I'm asking her, do you think that the people that they are just looking for the right candidate for their interpreting, of their conference or events would be interested in knowing that you have taken this course in maternity or whatever health that you've taken it? Yes, I understand that for you, investing your time or your personal interest in taking this course is really important. I've been taking, CBDs myself. But when they spend 15 seconds, okay, to evaluate your CV and to see if you're the right candidate, this most probably is not the right way to put it. You can have a comprehensive list of all your courses on your LinkedIn profile or your website, but it's not for a CV. The CV, okay, should be targeted. And by targeted, I mean you need to be selective and include the information that the evaluator of your CV would need to see there so as to hire you, okay, and assign you the project. If I'm going too fast, if you would like me to repeat anything, if something is not clear, especially for those that are starting out or they find it very new as information, okay, you can unmute yourselves and stop me to repeat anything. Or you can write down your questions and we can come back. But definitely I prefer to answer any questions if they refer to the actual material in the slide right now so as to solve it and go further. So feel free, okay? Everything okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So put yourself in your reader's shoes. What do they expect to read in your CV? That applies also to your LinkedIn profile because we've been working on this as well. Would they be interested to see a current photo of yours, maybe? Your language combinations, your top 3 specialist areas, how easy it is to communicate with you, services that you offer. Why should they use your services maybe? What's the benefits that we were discussing? Clear message about your experience level, professional memberships, And again, provide relevant information only, because some of you might tell me, Virginia, like Albana, I've been 20 plus years in the industry, I cannot create a one-page CV. I have so much experience. We're going to discuss that later on, because that's one of the most common questions I get. By being selective and including only the relevant information, relevant to the reader, okay, the end evaluator of your CV for that specific job application, would really, answer these questions. But of course, I'm going to review your material and give you specific, answer to these questions in our Q&A. Can you impress in 30? And I told you that has been even shorter right now, 15 seconds. Again, that's really, really important. How we're going to do that, okay? We need to focus our attention in these 3 sections of our CV. So what I really recommend you is at least your CV to include those 3 sections and 1 subsection that I have in the 3rd section here. Profile summary, okay? That's based on my research and trainings, and also me as an evaluator, I see that is really, really important. Professional experience, second, and not education. Even if you're a starting out translator, we need to find a way, to overcome this gap of lack of experience here. Then comes the educational and professional development. Professional development is really, really important. So if you have had the last course, or webinar that you have attended 20 years ago, or 15 or 10 or 7, then you need to think about it, okay? The clients, they want to see, especially in our industry, if they are aware of the trends, they are, project or vendor managers in an agency, they would look for this. And as a subsection to the 3rd section is the professional memberships. Do you know why professional memberships are really, really important? Do you include professional memberships? You can unmute yourself, so I would like to make it a bit conversational here. So do you include memberships? Do you think they're important? Why, Valentina? I saw that you are unmuted yourself, that's why.
No, that's
Yolanda?
okay. No, I was just...
Julie? Yeah, well, whoever who would like.
I always include them, yes, Virginia, because I think it's a proof of my professionalism, that I'm a professional, since my membership has been accepted by an established professional association.
That's a great reason. Julie?
I also think it shows your actual interest in that particular field, that you're interested enough to go and become a member.
That's also, yeah, great. That's also would be my suggestion. People, they understand that you're very serious for the industry, that you would like, to be updated for the current, if we can say, trends or developments in the industry. And you're always, updated by being, an active member of an association. Also, as Yolanda mentioned, that you are a pro because you have the credentials or the information that is needed just to be accepted, as an active member. So Anais, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I completely agree.
Okay, perfect. So we start right away, okay, with each of the sessions to discuss it, because that's the main topic. That's your takeaway of today's training. Of course, you will get access to the recording. All the recordings will be, accessible to you for 1 year. So if you don't have the time, if you're not ready to do this right now, at least take some time later on to do this work, okay? It's really worth it. It's the reason why you don't get answers to your emails. If you would like to increase your response rates when you apply for a job, then this training will increase, the actual response rate to your emails at least. Section number 1, profile and summary, is a summary paragraph. You've seen usually 3 to 5 lines that presents your strengths, okay? Is a skills section that integrates keywords, okay? Keywords that also you've been listening to me, hearing me, repeating many times also for your LinkedIn. But why? Also keywords are really, really important for a CV. But keywords specific to the position, if you're applying to position, specific to your specialization or the job that you would like to be hired for, or the project that you would like to be assigned, okay, in the future, if you're not applying for a specific project right now. And why the keywords are really important also in a CV, the biggest firms, they upload the CVs of candidates, especially if they have many different language combinations they offer to their end clients, in a database, which is actually accessible through keywords. So when they don't reply to you back, but they onboard you, on the vendors database, when they're going to look for someone like you in the future, you're not the only, let's say, Spanish to French, I don't know, English to Italian translator in their database. You need to end up in the results, okay? And relevant results. Like, let's say if you're a pharmaceutical, you should be able to end up, in the pharmaceutical English to Italian translators. Let's say if you're marketing, the same applies, and so on. So keywords are also important for practical reasons, apart from practical reasons that you will end up in the search results, especially if they're going to upload your CV in a database. It's also really important through their email. If they're going to search their emails, also the keywords, they would really be used so as you to end up in the results. And for me, they play also, if we can say, an indirect way with the feelings and the thoughts of the people reading it. It's easier for them to understand what you do and for what skills, values you would like to be considered when they read your copy. Okay, that's what we mean by keywords. Keywords, because usually you ask me how to find keywords. Should I have a keywords, SEO tool like Ahref, which is very well known? For that purpose, no. For that purpose, you should be able to know for what skills you would be like to be found in the end results, okay? And by whom? And if you have no clue, at least make a research. When your ideal clients, they look for someone like you, how, okay? Do they actually set up that questions? By Google search alerts, by looking at Quora and similar websites, you will be able to find, okay, keywords. Section number 2, which is the experience that we discussed, is past deployment, okay, and accomplishments. If you have not been employed in the past, or if you would like only to showcase your translation-related experience, you don't need to have all your previous employment as a secretary. I don't know. I used, for example, as a younger person to, I don't know, crepe creating. I don't know if you know what's crepe or sandwiches. So I don't include all of my, previous experience as an employee here. I only include relevant, again, information. It's relevant to them, is interesting to them. You see, again, relevant professional experience with example of projects that you have worked on, and accomplishments are going to show you how, okay, we should include accomplishments, because that's what really establishes us as the go-to expert and differentiates us from our competitors. Imagine if we receive like 50. When I opened my position for my in-house, position for my company, I remember I got in 1 week 47 interviews, not the CVs, interviews, which were candidates that they had passed the first, stage. So there's a lot of competition. You need to differentiate so as to win this competition. And of course, one way to start doing this is actually having a targeted, very, very well written CV that actually includes those tricks that I'm telling you, accomplishments or projects that you have worked on relevant to that specific, professional experience your clients they are looking for. Education and professional development, which is the section number 3, any degrees, special training, certifications, continuous CPD, continuous professional development, falls under this category. But again, in my case, I have 10 pages of conference. For example, I have attended or I have spoken in the past as a presenter, or I don't know, I cannot even recall how many webinars, especially if you're a member of an association, they run, let's say, every month a free webinar for you. Imagine how many you will end up having in it. So what is the answer again here? Be selective. Include the courses that are relevant, to the specific job that you're applying or project that you would like to be hired, okay? As a freelance professional. Subsection of section 3 is the professional memberships. Any professional memberships or associations you belong to, of course, be selective again. If you have so many hobbies and you are so active, in your local activity, yes, that shows something for your personality. If the hobby is related to the actual, let's say, climbing is your hobby and you're a member of an association, let's say, or a group or club, and you're applying for a climbing project, that would make sense, because it shows your passion. It shows that you, apart from being an expert in translating, Lara, are you posting something in the chat? Okay, so a notification from Lara. Okay, no. You can unmute yourself if you have any question. And so again, if you have been a member of many, many associations, you can list all of them. You can list all of them to your website if you have a specific section. You can list all of them in one specific document to have them, somewhere listed. And if someone asks for all of them, you can send it over. Or if you can even include it on your LinkedIn profile, all of them, okay? Because there's no limitation there. But here that we need to make an impression in 15 seconds, and a CV cannot be longer than 2 pages, you realize that we cannot send a CV of 10 pages like we see from some academics online, that they upload their CV and it's 15 pages because that's, I don't know, very important for them to have all of their academic, background and so on. So in short, because you asked me how a CV should like, here you see a different, I will show you also in our industry CV example. but I would like you to focus on the structure rather than the content. That's why I have an accountant's here CV. What I would like you to see is that we see here the contact details, the name, what they do, the title, the profile summary, which is 3-6 lines here, as you see. Then the section of professional experience, which is section number 2 that we're discussing, and the education, okay, which is the section number 3. So as for you have an idea of what we are discussing so far, okay? That should be the format, let's say, that's the structure. Is it clear? Please, okay, don't feel embarrassed or whatever. Like, if you have any questions, if something is not clear, also for you, Marion, feel free, okay?
Yes, everything's clear, but I have a question. Do you think we should include the rates in the CV?
Okay, perfect. Can you, I think I have it in the frequent last questions. Can you keep it for the question?
Okay, yes, sure. Okay.
Because it's not relevant here, but since I didn't mention, most probably I don't suggest it, but I think I have a full answer for this because it's a very common question, both rates and any other questions about typical questions from translators, apart from rates. So let's go into detail for the profile summary that we discussed. You might see it as a career summary, profile summary, unique selling proposition, introductory summary. There's so many different ways, that you might see in profiles or even in CVs or resume. What we expect to see here before we start with the profile summary, the contact details should be very clearly stated how someone could contact you. And I know that you might tell me, but why, Virginia, you are referring to so basic information? I've seen that happening. I've seen people sending a CV without contact details there, and also they didn't have any contact details in the signature. So whenever I had to contact them, I had only their email. Imagine an emergency or some, fast way to approach them. I didn't have any other details. Professional headline. The actual. Yes.
One question. Will you post this presentation on the group in the group?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You need to leave?
No, but just because I'm taking notes, but I cannot write down everything.
You will get access to the recording for okay. And also I will send you also some handouts afterwards. So everything that you need to use will be also in handout.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
And then, sorry, a quick question. For contact details, what about including an address?
Yeah, that's a great question, Julie. If you don't know the recipient, sometimes, we keep applying to agencies and we're not sure who's going to actually receive. There is maybe a short name and we see an email, but we don't really know. We haven't taken the time to make a research to see if it's an existing, agency. If it's actually, I always suggest you to go to Blue Board or Payment Practice and check, because there are so many scammers in our industry. If you don't know the recipient 100%, don't send it, okay? Including especially if this address is not company address, which means most of you work from home. Do you find it as wise to have your home address that everyone can reach you out and find you where you live? Okay, and let's say the recipient, or that's a project manager. I've seen some agencies, they change project managers every week. Would you like them to know where you live? Let's say you never know where this information will end up, especially if it's your home address. So in such a case, what I would suggest you to do, either having a PO box or having at least the area, Athens, Greece, in our case, with maybe also, let's say, the postal code. That's it. Just to understand, let's say if it's for in-tapsing project, they need your live presence to know where you're based. Or even some people, they would like native people located in Athens, let's say. So it's really important to tell them that you're based in Athens, Greece, or in your case, in the UK. But not exactly, number, street, I don't know, apartment number. They don't need this information to go further. And also when you're going to invoice them, most probably they're going to see this information.
Then they'll have it then,
They have it then. But when you send a CV, you haven't yet established a collaboration with them. You don't have their invoicing details, because when you issue an invoice, you need to have their invoicing details as well. So,
Yeah, I think it's good to at least say mention the area and the country you're in, because obviously like with English there's variations, with French there is. And sometimes when I've had other people's CVs and I've put the job out on Pros, I don't really like it when there's only an email address, because they feel too
an email
address,
yes, a Gmail and so yes. So no, just an email, no, is not my suggestion. So we can discuss exactly what contact details, but especially the area, I think it's really important. It shows also some trustworthiness, just to understand that you are also an existing person, because we're afraid of scammers, but also, company agents are afraid of scammers, and especially when they share with you, confidential information of their clients, they need to see that you're a real person behind of that CV. and how you show that you're a real person, especially if you don't have, website with a specific location and so on. And before you reach the point to send them your invoicing information, they need, some reassurance, let's say, and just a Hotmail or a Gmail doesn't prove anything. What we need, yes, at least the postal code, maybe if not a full address, if it's your home address, maybe the area as you mentioned, and also by being, having a professional presence on several different platforms also.
It's so important. That's why I think the website's important as well, and as many profiles as possible.
Exactly. So if you cannot invest in a website, I've known people that they make, 5-figure months with zero website as freelancers with a Gmail for many years. Okay, I know that there exist so many colleagues like those. But keep in mind that if you are going to be hired for a long-term collaboration or to be trusted, a very important, project, they will look for you on LinkedIn, at least on LinkedIn, okay? They would look for you on Google to see if you're an existing person, what's your activity there. I know even more exaggerating stories about being, hired as an in-house, employee. They might look for your activity on Facebook. That's exaggerating, okay? But I've known that those things are happening. But at least for your freelancing career, they're going to check for you on LinkedIn, especially if there's no website, okay? Or extra information for you. LinkedIn, I think is the goal. They go and they check. At least you're an existing person. You're consistent with your headline, which means the same headline you have there, the same headline. You don't say in your CV that you're pharmaceutical experienced translator, and then they go to your pros profile or to your LinkedIn profile. They see that you're marketing, literature translator. That's why the marketing message should be consistent everywhere. Did I answer your question, Julie? But we can discuss that.
Fine, thank you. Yeah.
So here, professional headline, language combination, source and target language, fields of specialization. Again, if they receive a generic CV, but they don't see the relevancy to the job that you're applying, they don't see why you're the go-to expert, your CV is going to be rejected. Most probably you're not going to receive an answer. You might tell me, I'm a starting out translator, I don't have a specialization. It's better to start with a specialization. At least you would like to be considered to undertaking project rather than having a very generic CV like translator and interpreter. It's so common. Even the guy that I was just before you, a mentee of mine working one-to-one to review his CV, he had translator, interpreter, proofreader, billions of such translators, interpreter, okay? We need to differentiate and also to build that trust. The services you provide beside translation, that's where you include that, okay? Example, if you're offering proofreading, copy editing, whatever, like localization, voiceover, that should be included there. And then let's go to the unique selling proposition. And that's the most important part, and also a struggle that we have as translators. There is in the bonus section, in the guide section of our group, a specific training and a worksheet on how to find your unique selling proposition, what differentiates you. I think that's an open eye exercise. Everyone who has taken it, they tell me it really helped me to understand, my strengths, skills, and so on. So go through it, even if you're experienced or for so many years in the industry. I think it will take you, to rethink again for many things about you. And in short, is what makes you different from other translators, okay? And give a brief description of your skills there and the reason why to hire you over the so many, I don't know, as I told you, 47 candidates I have had in my last hiring. Even for freelancing jobs, they're even higher, the score there. We get so many CVs. So what makes you unique and why to hire you? That should be clearly stated in this summary, as we discussed, 5 lines. Also, the first time I saw this was a really interesting, and let me know, does anyone know the passive and dynamic writing? I'm not referring to those that they've been to my trainings before, and they know it. So Julie, Anais, Valentina, Ilada, Marion, Alban, Lara, if you're here.
I'm guessing, but...
Enrico, have you heard of this dynamic words, dynamic way of writing things? Yes, Anais?
I'm guessing what you mean.
But you've never used it?
No.
So that should be the way that also you to rewrite your about section. And I'm going to read this example so as you to realize on your own, and let me know if you don't agree with this, the difference. And I'm going to read 2 sentences. I'm not going to read the whole example.
It looks like I, but the I's been whipped out and left all the good stuff.
Sorry?
It looks like in the past you might have said I managed, I oversaw. The I's gone, now we've just left with the good stuff. Exactly. Without the terrible I.
Exactly. You see, we need to grab their attention in 50 seconds. Okay, and by starting with those writing dynamic words, you grab their attention, especially for the skills that you would like to be considered. I will give you a list of dynamic words that you could use also to rewrite your about section. But for me, it's really important. If you Google, you can find many of them. I would like you to understand what's the difference and why, when you write I in your about sections, I come back to you and tell you, rewrite that, start maybe with a different way. So, manager of sales representatives from 7 states. That's true. That's what he or she is, okay? But if he writes the same sentence, the same information, managed sales representatives from 7 states, does it give you some more information? Is it more powerful?
It's an action.
It's an action. And actually what this does give you, for me, by saying manager of sales representatives is a bit boring. Don't understand, okay? That's his position. But if you say managed sales, or even more, successfully managed, efficiently managed, whatever, sales representatives from 7 states, given right away, some skills that he's a leader, that he was able to manage those sales representatives. And also manager of 12 food chain accounts in the East. And instead of manager, he repeats himself here, oversaw 12 food chain accounts in the Eastern United States. In the Eastern United States. We play with the words here. But words are what really matters. And also what we sell to people. That's what we sell through our services, that we can help you, to create a copy, especially if we're in the creative industry, that we can make, a message more powerful. So we definitely recommend you, if you still are very happy with your CV, if everything works pretty well so far, at least use some of those words to rewrite a few sentences. You don't need to overload your copy with those words, but at least the most important information should be written in such a format to give, the actual message to the audience that they will read very shortly, your message, even if it's on your website, even if it's on your LinkedIn about section, or even your CV here, profile summary. Then has a supervisor and trainer of new sales representative, and then has directed the sales force in plant selling towards specific goals, supervised and trained new sales representatives. So powerful. That's why we call them dynamic words. They give the actual action that Anais mentioned, they're active words, but actually you get also the results of their actions, and gives also indirectly the skills of that person, because by saying manager, you don't get the skills. You might consider some of the skills, but if they say managed, directed, advised, trained, you get even, the results of their actions, skills about them. So here is a list that I can share with you, of active words. You can find them even active words. That's why Anais mentioned the action. That's why we call them also active words. I would definitely recommend you to use some of them. Any questions so far? So far, so good? If I don't hear anything, I will continue.
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh, fine, thank you.
Perfect. Glad that you're here, Federico. Section number 2, past employment. Lara, to be honest, I would really like to see your background. You're so nicely positioned there. We're all of us jealous, but that's okay. So it's you're now in the room, so no boring.
Yeah,
It's boring. Now you can close the camera.
It was chilly outside now.
Yes, your background was amazing. Yeah, my bucket list. That's amazing. So let's go. Past employment and accomplishments again. Employment can be rephrased as experience. You don't need to be employed. Provide again relevant professional experience with example of projects that you have worked on. Why we need the example of projects? They are able to see the relevancy right away. So if they're looking for specific projects, okay, give me an example. How you use this, and I know, Valentina, you've used it. So if they're looking for a specific example, and you tell them, I have recently, almost 3 recent projects, they include this, this, and this, and the actual this, and this are similar to the projects that they are hiring someone, you got the job, or you're most likely to get the job because they see right away the information they would like to see. That's what I would like to see if I would hire someone that I've never heard before. I don't know them, especially if they're also communicative, professional, and so on. We need also some other skills. But the first information I would like to see someone to hire them, the relevance. If they have similar, relevant experience to the project that I'm hiring, or the relevancy might be to the project that I usually undertake. So if I'm a pharmaceutical or an agency that I only work with life sciences, let's say as project, and you send me some CVs as a lawyer, and yes, you're a law, legal, finance, and let's say pharmaceutical translator. And when they go to scroll your CV, they see first your legal experience, legal projects, and finance projects. And then at the end, okay, you mentioned also your pharmaceutical experience, they don't feel that fast. If they see just one CV, fully, concentrating the information that they're looking for, most probably you go to the job and the attention because they understand that you're committed and you're experienced at this. We are going to discuss how you can combine specialization, especially if you have two difference. I'm not suggesting you to lie or to hide anything, but I'm suggesting you to restructure that information so as to give them in such an order with the most important information first and then the rest of the information. Trying to give more detailed information for the most recent or most interesting to the recipient of your CV projects, including also word count, especially if the word count is something interesting, okay? I'm not talking about 100 words project. If you have a 200,000 words project, include that. It's very powerful. It shows that you're a professional translator, okay? And you can handle even, very demanding projects. In a task-based bullets, listing your responsibilities or achievements, this guy in the previous section, he was listing his position, but in the second example with the dynamic words, exactly he was listing his responsibilities and achievements, okay? Because responsibilities can be also achievements if there is successfully completed, successfully delivered, trained, and so on. Project your value. Again, the value is something we're going to discuss a lot. We have discussed in the week number 1, if you remember the idea clients avatar, your value, finding your value by using accomplishment-based bullets. Present your accomplishment first and follow it up how you did it. So they don't want to know how you get this accomplishment. That's, if we can say, supplement secondary information to support your accomplishment, but they prefer to see the accomplishments. Like we were discussing in your about section, they want to see the benefits and then how maybe, okay, you can help them achieve those benefits. But the primary information here is your accomplishment and then how you did it, okay? Supervised or increase, I don't know. So you will see some more example later on how you can increase productivity, reduce cost by increased productivity, the times of delivering a project into a half by supervising, I don't know, a team of other translators in the past is an accomplishment. How you did this by using specific CAT tools or your experience, or I don't know, being in direct contact with your clients, asking them specific questions. It's a secondary information. Okay, the first information that you were able to successfully complete, to train, to reduce costs, to increase, it's the accomplishment that you brought to the company. It would be a good idea to make a list with the types of documents that you've translated under the areas of specialization you work in. I'm always surprised when people, they come to me, they don't include, they don't create. That also will give you a better idea to understand what's your main specialization based on the previous experience, where you have more experience, where you had more successes, And in that list, I would suggest you to include even any voluntary or unpaid work, especially if you're starting out. You don't need to have only your paid works. Of course, if you are 20 years in the business, you don't need to include voluntary work or small projects, focus on the main ones, but definitely that will give you a clear idea of your experience, your background, and then you will be able to support it better also in your marketing material. That's not a portfolio, because recently I saw in a post of a very well-known translator who is trying, to give some advice to the translators that this is a portfolio. No, a list of your projects, is not a portfolio. A list of your project is a list of your project. Portfolio needs some more information, okay? And could be renamed as a portfolio if it was addressed only to agencies, which means that by getting this information, a list of your project could be enough. But if you're using it as a portfolio to address your expertise to direct clients, no, that is not a portfolio, because that's not so how the direct clients, they can understand your experience. The direct clients cannot evaluate by giving them a list of your previous project, your skills, and if you're a good candidate to work with them. Cannot, okay? They won't be able, and they don't want to see a list of the project to actually hire you. If something is not clear, you would like me to go further, please let me know, but I don't want, to talk a lot because we're already, 1 hour. Don't forget, yes, someone is muted. Okay, Lara, perfect. Don't forget, be more convincing, use numbers. You are more convincing when you use numbers. Those are the examples for a freelance translator. So if you've been working for various translation agencies, you know, the Greece, if they're based in Greece, from when to when, like the time frame, position, if it's position, description, freelance translation, or successfully translated, and a variety of documents in a wide range of industries. I would prefer to see exactly the industries here, not the generic, because it's a template here, you see it as a generic. But what's my opinion? You know my opinion. I always prefer to see that you're a freelance specialized translator in specific specialization, and the documents were under 3, maximum 5 industries, let's say. Major clients included, and then yes, including 3 clients like we did with Federico in his profile, because they're very well-known brands. That's okay, especially if they are your own paid clients, okay? Alban, you just sent me your CV. I see your email.
Yes, that's correct. Sorry, because my laptop broke down while I was here, besides not having it. So I thought the only way to do it was doing it that way.
You should inform me, because I would have lost it now. Just got a notification. I had notifications on actually, so don't worry.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks.
No problem. All of you guys, you can send it over, okay? So responsibilities and achievements, English to Greek translation of documents, including technical manuals, contracts, press releases, business correspondence. You understand exactly what this person translates, okay? Major projects included an 150-page technical manual for computer software, 50-page catalog, and 25-page advertising brochure for a car manufacturer. So why? He highlights those are achievements. You know, if you have such big projects, it's always good, the client, to know, even if it's an agency or a project manager, okay? Do you have any questions so far? Of course, in our case, it's going to be more targeted. So in such a case that we see here that the accomplishment are computer software and car manufacturer, I would put it right away next to the freelance translator, which is a technical, you know, in the IT and automotive industry, let's say. Okay, I would prefer to see it right away, and also here in the industries. Again, because she translates technical manuals, contract and business correspondent, could be a business, you know, a technical translator or something like this. Is there anyone who would be interested in an in-house position here? That's your chance. Raise your hand, okay, or say yes if that's yes. If it's no, I'm going to go through fast and focus on the things that we are all of us interested here. Is there anyone? Lara, you were interested?
No. Yeah, I'm applying for some. Yeah.
So if you're applying for, if you're applying for, they need to see that if you're applying for an in-house translator, you need to have a different formula. So you need to rewrite your whole CV, Lara. Okay, and you need to change the structure to be adapted for this in-house position, especially if you're going to be an in-house project manager or translator. Okay.
Yeah.
So they need to see that you have previous experience. Let's say from when to when, from what companies. We disclose details. As in-house employees, we disclose details. As freelancers, because most probably we have signed, you know, confidentiality agreement, we cannot. But as an in-house people, they expect to see that.
Yeah.
They need to see a description of the skills and the actual activities, responsibilities. And here you see with a bullet point, you know, the actual coordination could be coordinated, let's say with dynamic words, 3 translators and 2 proofreaders, or a team of 5, working on the user manual for the new model, ensuring the quality and on-time delivery of the project. You see the way that we write things play a role. Here, those are benefits, those are achievements. But if you say that I always provide high quality and on-time deliver the project, that's okay, but generic. But if you say that during this project or during that specific time or during that cooperation, I was ensuring, you know, the quality and on-time delivery of the projects and increased, you see here, very well benefit, and you might get some ideas of how you could rewrite your benefits. Increased and user friendliness of manuals through consultation with German technicians to ensure the Greek versions are clear and effective. This is what I expect to see from you in your about section. It's not only I help you increase your sales or bring money to your company, okay? That's what they expect to see, and they expect you to start, okay, with a increased and user friendliness, and then how you did it through consultation with German technicians. I think that was the reason when I presented my dissertation so many years ago in my translation degree presentation of my thesis, I told them, to the 3 members, you know, we have here committee that I had 3. It was a manual, never translated in Greek, from French, of some engines, maritime engines for vessels. And I told them that I had consulted, 3 different end users of this manual would be maritime engineers who actually had reviewed, my copy, and they gave me, actually advice and instructions. So I got 10. They couldn't, tell me anything on my translation if I had the end user, 3 of them that they know the terminology to review it. That's a reason, also for you to be trusted by end clients. Interpreters, I know that we have Yolanda. I don't know if any of you would like also to go. They start with the achievements. Always, for some reason, interpreters are way ahead with their marketing efforts. So you see here interpreter, he starts right away with the achievements, then he goes with their professional experience. For some reason, I think it's the fact that they are, always in communication direct, early with the end clients. They, for some reason, have gained more marketing skills. Also in the academic, because my PhD right now research is also similar to this. I see there are more results and surveys about interpreters, business skills rather than translators. I don't know why. And here you see exactly, he starts right away with the achievements. And even if he says interpreter, he or she, I don't know, he says translated 2,000 text document into English and Greek language for the purpose of easy referencing for foreign delegates, developed a glossary with common words and phrases used in the industry, spanning 3 languages, wrote a booklet on best interpretation practice for newbies, trained newly hired interpreters in performing high quality work by following best practices. Those are achievements, and we keep to neglect such achievements in our profiles websites. But those are achievements, guys, even if are not directly, connected with the actual work. The fact that they trained or they wrote a booklet for newbies is not directly connected. But what builds an authority, in the field. And then goes exactly with the professional experience, a specific agency in the UK, the period and what exactly he does, and also ensure that both content and style of statements are communicated effectively. You see, ensure that the context of the language isn't altered during interpretation. Ensure that all written translations conform to the original text in terms of technicality and terminology. We tend to write like just, providing high quality interpreting service, but there is so much more that you do there and you don't know. That's food for thought for all of you. You do so many things for your clients. Write those down. And here as an intern, if you're starting out, you can put your intern. But you need to provide a context here, provided support system. Ensure that all written interpretation material is filed appropriately. Took notes during interpretation, provide feedback, assisted in proofreading, assisted in creating glossaries, and so on. Those are the achievements. Hope that this is clear, because that's the main, I think, section of your profile and also your CV. The reason why someone is going to read the rest. Education, professional development includes education history, relevant, again, qualification. I gave you an example of a course. If it's irrelevant, and if you ask yourself if you're going to include information, most probably you don't need. And people that they come to me and ask me, should I include this information in my CV? Most probably they don't. So if you ask yourself, you can make that test with you to see. Usually this information that you ask yourself to include in this CV shouldn't be included. That applies usually to your profile again. Any degrees, special training, certifications, they also like to see that you are growing as a professional by continuing your education and training. Any professional memberships or associations that you belong to, a list of published works, that how I got, my second and third, if you can say, employment, because I had a list of already published works, and they were already published, so I could share even the links, people to see my work. Choose according to CV's purpose, of course, and put links. You cannot create, 3 pages, because 2 pages are only, the publications that you have. You can include a list, and you can let them know relevant, publication, that specific magazine, review, or whatever. You can read more here. You can include one, and you can let them know that you can read more here, and you can include a link because you send a PDF online. You can include as many links as you want, especially if you want them to read something more. CAD tools and other software you use and all. I think that's very, very important information. Some translators, I think also myself, we included higher, in the order in our CV, especially if you're a technical translator or Alban, if you remember, of your productivity in your everyday life should be, right away, including your CV. And DDP capabilities, if you have, any more skills that are relevant, again, to the project that you would like to undertake, you can include it. It would be a good idea to keep things as relevant as you can and include any URLs, as these are quickly accessible, and you can keep your CV short as 1 or 2 pages. That was it, the content. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you've learned something new, even if you're many years in the industry. Let me know if you have any questions. And we're going through the CV layout, because also the way that we format things, you've been hearing telling you that you need to include spaces every 3 lines, 5 lines of your about section. It plays a role, the layout and the format, the white spaces and so on. That applies also to your CV. Shortly, okay, CV layout do's is actually to be clean, readable, highlight or put in bold information when and if needed. Not bold everything, not overload with special fonts and formatting, but if you would like to highlight something and attract the attention of the reader or the evaluator of your CV to a specific information, okay, you could actually, in my suggestion, highlight that. Ready-made layout templates can be used, Of course, I will show you some templates as long as you adjust them, okay? And of course, ULPS format only when requested. That's very common, at least used to be when I started, mentoring other colleagues. I don't know if that's the trend right now, but it used to be to use ULPS. I remember some agency owners, when I was in the panel of a discussion at a conference, they had actually in their presentation mentioned that they only ask the candidates to submit their CVs in a ULPS format because it's easier for them, to review the information and to go to the actual section of the ULPS and see the information they would like. Okay, but that was an exception, and they expect to see your CV in a ULPS. If it's not clearly stated that they asked you to submit your CV in a ULPS format, I would prefer to see a personalized, CV even from a structural aspect, because it gives me information for the character and personality of the person who sends. Okay, that's CV. So I don't prefer to see ULPS or anything unless you're submitting for a European Union, tender, where they ask you, of course, to submit ULPS. But again, if you prefer a ULPS format, the most common mistake is that they include sections that they don't apply to them because ULPS has a specific format. If you're going to use such formats, at least delete the sections that you don't have information to include there. Don't keep them empty, because that's the format or the structure of the template. You need to adjust it and you need to delete any sections that they don't apply to you. That's a very common mistake. That's 100% something I recommend. I don't suggest you to include strange or small size fonts. That's not easy readable. Bright colors, I tell you. I received one red, and most probably I ended up that was not a good candidate for that position, because it also gives you more ideas of, their background, their personality. Crazy backgrounds, I've seen that also. Okay. Word art, graphic images, I've seen that also in CV. Everything that I'm using here is also based on my personal experience as well. So that happens. And the use of caps. Okay, use caps only if you would like to attract the attention of the reader, because caps usually show someone angry, and it's not recommended. Final check before you send your CV. Check for any.
Sorry, Virginia, when you were saying about like word art on graphic images, so like in mine, I've got my logo. Should we just not have anything like that?
Okay, logos are different. I can give you a suggestion, and when I suggest you to include a logo, okay, in CV. But for example, if you're going to use a CV for an agency, okay, I don't see a reason including, a company logo there, because they're not going to hire you as a company owner. And most of the times they have, in their job application or job ad shared online that we only want freelancers, to actually apply here. So in such a case also might be a reason to be rejected. So
sure. No, I am actually a freelancer. I do have a company, but that's in the same name, but that's a separate issue. I actually work as a freelancer.
Yeah, I'm not telling you that the logo reflects exactly the legal format of your business. I'm telling you what is most probably what they will realize by seeing a logo or professional brand name, brand identity, instead of seeing just, your name and your headline, which is direct information. But that's my opinion. I need to see it. I will see it and I will give you feedback on but definitely in such questions, Julie, what is my suggestion?
Thank you. Yeah.
What's the purpose of your CV?
Yeah.
If the logo serves the purpose of your CV, you can include it. If it's irrelevant, if it's something, that they don't need to see that to hire you, then you should rethink about it, okay? But I will check yours and I will give you feedback anyway.
Great, thank you.
So check for any grammar, syntax, spelling mistakes, okay? I don't negotiate that. You can have even a third person, third eye to read it. Can be irrelevant to our industry, just to read their mistakes. Of course, they need to understand the language the CV is written. Proofread your CV and have others to proofread it, okay? A mentee of mine, Catherine Lelson, that she has 2 rounds of my program, and we just completed the VIP program once. She offers that service already because there's such a huge need, especially from non-native English speakers. So she provides that, I think, voluntary. She also gives some free calls. So if you need such a service, let me know to bring you into contact, because it's also better to be proofread by a native and someone who does this. So they use the CV for that specific purpose, because I've seen LinkedIn profiles and CVs updated by professionals, but not from our industry, that they give you advice that actually is wrong. And I've seen, because recently I ran, what was it, a 3-day bootcamp or something, and I was reviewing some LinkedIn profiles in the Mentoring for Translators group, my free program, and I saw some formula, a text formulated in a similar format in more than 5 LinkedIn profiles. And then I go to work like, why are people using this specific format? And I asked them directly, have you used someone professional? Yes, they told me. We went to a professional and they revised, and that was a mistake for our industry, the way that they had revised it. So don't hear information you know from several different experts in the field, both for your LinkedIn profile and your CV, unless they're familiar with our industry, because our industry is so unique and so difficult, if we can say, that we cannot use information that's said, you know, by professionals that you even pay them. They paid that professional, and the actual format was, they had the language combination at the end. They had at the first of the sentence abbreviation and something very generic. In short, they have had the most important information in our field at last, because the professional that they hired to redo the headline of their about section, they weren't aware of our industry and what's important, okay? Or at least they didn't pay attention. They would follow a specific formula. No, okay? Again, don't see other people's profiles and follow the same unless you think that this really works for our industry. Remember, Lara mentioned a copywriter has this format. Yes, for a copywriter it might work. Does it work for you? It might, but we need to test it, because it doesn't everything work for us, okay? Especially if it doesn't include keywords that our clients, they would like to see there. So only relevant information, remove any useless information. So that's something, even if you're already satisfied with your CV, that's homework, go and revisit. Is there any useless? I mean that for you. I don't mean useless for you, because everything we learn is useful, okay? Everything that we have in our experience is useful. By useless here, I mean for the end reader and for the purpose of the CV. If it's a purpose to be hired for a specific project, then might some information be useless for that specific purpose. Keep it short, ideally 1-2 pages as we discussed. Check that your CV aims at the position or project you apply for, and information related to the position or project is highlighted. By highlighted, I don't mean you to go and put, you know, yellow there. By highlighted, I mean in an order. That is the first information that you share, for example, your professional experience. That is also included, you know, in your headline. Let's say it's a pharmaceutical, that you include, like, you are a specialized professional pharmaceutical translator in your headline. That you include, you know, some keywords also related to this specific project or specialization in your profile summary, and also that you have it first in your work experience. That's what I mean by highlighting. Submit your CV in a PDF format as an email attachment. I'm open to discuss that. Some people, they prefer Word. I don't suggest that. Save your CV with a correct file name. I've been receiving so many CVs like Translator CV1, CV.n, just your name. No. Okay, there should be a specific name that you save your CV, and usually includes language combination, specialization, your name. Let's say something easily to be accessible, so when they save those files to understand exactly what they are going to open. If they see CV.n, they don't understand who's the CV about. Okay, what is it about? What job? The project? Ensure that the email subject includes what the job advertisement requires: name, language combination, maybe your rate. Here that you asked Marion about the rate, maybe your rate. Why maybe? Only if you're asked. That's my suggestion. If they don't ask you for your rate, I think it's a trap for you, okay, that you put yourself into by mentioning your rate there. Some people, they tell me, you know, I prefer to put the rate, especially if it's very high enough, because I want you to know like who is able to accept or not my rate. But the purpose of sending a CV is not only, people to accept our rates, it's also to get to know you, to see your background. And sometimes you might be hired because you got in an interview, or they were able to go through the second stage of the evaluation of your CV. And if you have a rate that's already outside of the budget, even if they would be able to evaluate your specialization or your expertise and accept that rate later on, by having it at first without you then being able to evaluate your content of your CV, then I think you've lost them, especially if it's out of the budget. And also, if they see it right there and it's low because you're starting out, and they put it in their database and they contact you 1 year later, because I've seen that, and also I'm a real example. They contact me 1 year later, they gave me a huge project, okay? If you have a specific rate stated there, okay, let's say 6-8 cents, but after 1 year, your rate might be 12. It's more difficult to change it, and especially the bigger firms, they have automated systems, and it's very difficult to be able to invoice and change those terms afterwards, and might be the reason also to reject paying you that rate, because they will tell you, when you sign the papers, when you send us the application, you had put this rate. That's how we chose you over your competitors. That's what we're going to pay you. And I've seen that happening. So only suggest you put the rates if you're asked. But if you have more questions, Marion, about the rates, or all of you guys, let me know. And last tip, always address the email, okay, to a particular person. Do a small research before you apply. LinkedIn is so powerful. If you have a specific company you would like to send, usually the companies, they have the HR department responsible, or the person to send this message. On pros, when you're applying, someone signs off, the job application, even with the first name, use it. If there is only the title or the HR team, use it to the attention of the HR team, to the attention of the vendor manager. Use whatever they sign off the job application, but by making a short research, especially if you're trying to establish a long-term collaboration, using LinkedIn, finding that company and choosing the employees and finding the title they're using and find the specific person, you can find the names. You might tell me there are more than one. Okay, choose one wisely based on the location, or you can contact them, all of them on LinkedIn, and telling them at least, okay, that I have contacted you there. To whom I might address, my CV or something. You can ask them. Also, that's a reason to have them in your network and start a conversation, let's say, with your potential clients there. So, checkpoints, keep your CV's content consistent. Okay, consistent. They don't need to go on LinkedIn and see different, headline specialization. Very different, I mean. Proofread your CV thoroughly. And by consistent, I mean also throughout the CV. I've seen also CVs, people, they having a different headline, and the experience they have included is totally different to the headline. I don't know why. Okay, so for example, they mentioned the headline, 3 different specializations. You go to the experience and they have totally different specialization. Be consistent, okay, with information that you share. Update your CV frequently. I know it's time consuming, but if you're going only to work with agencies, it's really worth it to update it, and it's really worth it to at least put into practice half of the things we discussed here, just for you to get higher response rate and even get jobs done. So, most common question, email or a cover letter? I remember, because I started out 15 years ago, that we had to send a PDF attached to the cover letter. I assume some of you still do this. You can unmute yourselves, let me know. Do you send a cover letter as a different attached document, as a PDF? Yes?
No, I don't.
No, Lara?
No, because the series that I made is quite different than this that you are, illustrating, and so I think that the cover letter is like part of a part of that CV. So
no, in general, okay, no one would ask you to submit a different PDF nowadays. Okay, it's again against common practices. They will ask you for an email. In my age, when I started out, I don't know if any of you have encountered same situations. We would be asked through the job application or job ad to submit a cover letter as a different document, okay, attached.
Yeah. It was compulsory. Yeah, it was compulsory.
I don't feel alone. Who is this, Alban?
Alban, yeah. Yeah, but 15, 20 years ago, you could
Yes.
not apply without a covering letter. It was unthinkable.
I started in 2007. Yeah. We used to apply on jobs with a different cover letter. Nowadays, we are contacting our clients, through an email. there is no need of a cover letter. I don't suggest you. It's outdated and most probably they're not going through this. But unless you're asked to do so, clearly asked to submit a different document. If not, then I would suggest you to include an email. And that's what we say here. Since most freelance translation work is conducted over the internet, a formal cover letter really isn't necessary and even appropriate. Okay, they might find it even inappropriate. So most of the time, you will either send a short email cover letter or include a paragraph or two in the appropriate section of the translation agency's online application. Okay, because some agencies, they prefer to be contacted through their platform, through their website. So in both cases, it would be advisable to write a simple and short text as an email or as in the application that you apply, including the following information. Dear Mr. and Mrs. We need a name. I know it's difficult. If you include the name, you get more than 90%, okay, chances, higher, than 90% to get a response, even if it's a no. And also applies to me. I've seen myself when the ACD of Virginia, I need it. I feel, needs to go and reply to those people, even if it's irrelevant, even if the content has nothing to do. But because they address the name to me, because they know me somehow, they've made a research, it's a real. And that's why we get such high response rate on LinkedIn, in comparison to email marketing, because you address your message with the first name of a specific person to them directly, They feel that they need to get back to you as an obligation, let's say, which is not that good, but at least they feel that you are addressing. It's like talking to someone. They cannot ignore you. They need to reply something like politely, even if you're not a client of them, they will reply to you something, okay? So that is how psychology, plays a role. And this is why by including just the name, you will get higher response rates to your emails. There are tools like hunter.io. My friends and colleagues, they have used it, where you can find specific, personalized emails of specific positions of people. Recently, I downloaded even one more. I might find it. And also I need to share with you a tool for the count of the words. Let me write down. Okay. That finds the email address, okay, which is like the snob.io. Let me in the chat rewrite those. Snob.io or hunter.io usually because they are, tech companies. So those tools, they can bring you, the name of the person, their personal email, and the position. Now it's easier with a tool to find such information in a more targeted way through LinkedIn. Some of them, they have even their professional email in the contact details or the about section or work experience section. So they have it publicly said. It just takes you 1 minute to visit the person's profile and find the email address and contact them. Okay, some of them, they might have it hidden, but there are tools like the ones that I told you that you can find their email address. You might tell me what's the purpose of finding it, through tools if they're not willing to give me their email. That's why we're using LinkedIn, because that's why LinkedIn is so powerful. We don't need an email to contact them. But if you're going to submit emails, okay, and CVs to agencies, then we need to find those emails. Personal information, name, language combination, okay, services that you offer, your specialization, the CAT tools that you use, rates only if required. I'm not going to expand more unless you need it. Why you sent this email? What's the reason? Okay, don't send just a seller's email, I provide that kind of services. That's my combination. That's my degrees. Thank you for your consideration. Give them a reason, okay, why you're contacting them and why to get back to you. And always important here, contact details in your signature, because I've been receiving so many emails from colleagues and I need to open their file in order to call them, even, when I want them, because they don't have it in their signature right away for me. Your contact information should be easily, addressed, easily approached, found, let's say. Common pitfall. Is it too fast? Are we all of us here? I hope that you find it interesting at least.
That's fine.
Perfect.
Yeah, all good.
So, common pitfall. Perfect. To be avoided, okay? Too many and often useless information. By useless information, okay, remember again the example that I told you about a course or a CPD or a training, irrelevant. That's useless information. Also, your marital status. Okay, it's a useless information. Do they need to know if you're married or not, especially for a freelance career to hire you? And also in the US might be also discrimination, clause, and they might even reject your CV application because of such information like marital status, age, sex, things like that in the US are a huge no.
Don't mention the kids either if you've got any.
It's the same. Thank you, Julie. Thank you for mentioning. So it's really, really important. Useless information should be removed.
I like to make myself look available rather than I'm like really seriously pressed for time.
Exactly. Grammar and spelling mistakes, again, for us, it's really, really important, okay? If they see, might be a reason not to get even an answer. Unprofessional email address, Hotmail, you know, or I don't know, fairytale@hotmail.com. That's a real story. Don't laugh, that's a real story. Everything I'm saying to you, you might think I'm exaggerating. Those are, you know, my experience. So the clients, they need to take you seriously. So in general, I wouldn't suggest Hotmail, even if it used to be good. Nowadays, we have Gmail. If you're against Gmail, buy a domain name with your name, you know, juliebarber.com, and have a contact at julie-barber.com, and that's it. You don't need to go. And that's $15 per year. That's nothing, okay? File name again. The reasons why I told you, okay? Have a specific file name. Sending your CV in a doc format, for me, it's not professional. When I see a doc format, I realize that those people are not professionals, or maybe they are starting out translators. So it's easy. You go save as, and you save your doc format in a PDF. Is there anyone who cannot do this? Let me know. Links that go to wrong pages. When I ran this survey and research to create those slides and guidebook, that was so much fun because I went through so many real case scenarios of people having even including porn websites to a professional CV because it had been copy pasted, I don't know, used previously, the clipboard or whatever. When they copy pasted, it wasn't taken, you know, the link. So they ended up sending inappropriate content through links because they didn't check them. So when you include links, at least go through all of them and check that the reader is redirect the right page. Cannot be that bad, but at least you don't want them to send them to a different website page that doesn't reflect the content that you are promising them. Okay, it doesn't have to be a porn site. Just to check the links, might be different, you know, link that you have connected previous paragraph of your CV. You should check that, okay, and include it properly, all of the links. We are human beings and you never, you know, what might end up or go wrong. Unused generic fields when using a ready-made templates. I referred to you previously. So if you're using a ready-made template, at least delete the sections that they don't apply to your own case. You don't have information to include there. Email subject, okay. I received so many emails, okay, with 0 subject and 0 content, 0 email. And they attach the CV, and even worse, they have in the CC, the correspondence, all the names of, I don't know, 20, 50 agencies there, disclosed. That's even against GDPR laws. Not to say that you look desperate, not to say that they don't see the relevancy, not to say that you look unprofessional. They understand that you're desperate and you didn't take the time to actually make a research on my website to look, who am I? Because that's my name there. You could like address this message to me. And also, let's say I'm not undertaking medical translation. Let's say you send for medical translation content. That's the reason why translators, they send 200 CVs and they get 0 replies. And that's real examples, real case studies, even a month ago I received. No email text, no subject line, avoid it. A generic CV for all position and projects is like having a generic LinkedIn profile for all position and projects on any kind of clients. Why I don't suggest to have a generic CV for all position and projects. This is the one away that you can take away from today's training. Before we continue, I would like someone, okay, to answer this. Why? Would you, Lara, would like to address that since we had a discussion together?
Yeah, I think because it will be clear to the person receiving the CV that, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, that you're not taking so much time to personalize, to customize the CV for them. So it can be you or another person, and then it will be the same. I mean,
I can give you so many reasons. Like I can start writing a list. Definitely the reasons that Lara mentioned, for sure. Okay, but imagine they have 15 seconds to evaluate among I don't know how many professionals they have. And there is a project specifically, I don't know, for automotive, there is a manual, you know, specific language combination, and you send a CV that's generic, that you're just a translator, no specialization, that you have been in the year so many years, your degrees, your experience as a translator, translating, I don't know, legal, finance, automotive, among others. And they receive a CV from a technical specialized translator who has also included 3 recent projects in that specific, you know, field. You've lost a job, they got it, okay, and most probably that would be the reason you won't even get a reply. No generic CVs, and I remember the example when I first presented this, the French people, they call the CV as a very, very expensive for the night dress. You never wear it twice, especially at the same event. So your CV should never be sent to too many. Yeah, there's a saying for French people, they use it especially for CVs. So you never send the same CV, okay, again and again and again. And that's the reason why most translators, they get 0 replies. They have 1 CV for all purposes. They send it to any kind of recipient, even if it's the CEO, the HR department, or the project manager, even if it's for pharmaceutical, legal, or finance, they send 1 CV. No, okay? So that's a more targeted in our industry. CV. I would like you to see just the format. Here they call qualifications, but it still have 5 lines, the profile summary. Okay, here is the contact details. Professional experience, the main section is a copy editor here, and education is here. I would like you to see the layout. Of course, in our case, if you know me very well, what's the CV is missing. What I would suggest you if you had sent me the CV to include.
A picture, maybe. Also.
I will answer for picture. Apart from picture, Federico, I will answer for the picture. I have a section about discussing picture. Also, Federico, just to let you know, in the US and the UK is a reason for discrimination, and also your CV might be rejected because you put a photo. In Germany and France, and maybe also in Greece, I think Greece was included. Federico, if you include it, is also needed, I think, to include. Is that correct in the German market, Federico?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Remember,
all the CVs here have a picture. Yeah.
That's why I really suggest you to make a research before you start sending your CVs. And also it's recommended to do it per location because every location has different regulations there. So you don't want to be rejected because you included a photo. In the UK, only if you're a model, okay, or an actor, you're asked to include a photo. Is that correct, Julie? If you are any other kind of professional, yes?
Yeah, I never see them these days.
Is the regulation?
I never see them these days. I think it just gives people scope to have prejudices against you.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, whatever it might be. I mean, you can, you know, people just look at people and say, "Oh, I don't like the look of you."
But I think also, Julie, I think there is a regulation there, so you can look at this and find out. I think also in your country there's a regulation about putting a photo.
Oh right, okay. No, I'm not sure about the regulation.
Other countries they don't have regulations, but in the US I know it's a discrimination, you know, law that there exists there. So from the appearance, you know, hiring someone, especially as a freelancer, who needs to know how you look like. If you're going to work from home, I mean, I understand the need of seeing you when you are going to be hired for an in-house position, but still, I would expect to see you at the interview. I wouldn't expect to see a photo of yours. But yet, in the French market,
I used to when I was younger, but not these days.
Also, again, discrimination to be angry, you know?
Yeah.
Especially for a freelance career, if you're like going to work from home, who cares if you're 20 or 50? Especially if you're 50, you most probably are more productive and have more experience. Anyway, for me, it's really important to make a research. Like, as I mentioned, Germany, okay, employers in Germany, they would expect, you know, they would wait to see a photo of yours. Also, the same applies in France. I don't know, Anais, if you have an experience. Also, the same applies in Greece.
To have a photo.
Yeah, they would expect to see a photo there. It's something they expect. It's not, you know, required, but it's something they would expect to see. Whereas in other countries might be also as the marital status, the age reasons, you know, to actually reject. You know, CV. So I would very, you know, careful if I'm going to add a photo or not. So to answer my question here, I missed the headline. So when I see this CV, I don't understand exactly what the person does. Okay, what's the specialization? And I don't want to see here having curriculum vitae, very common. Like you send a CV, people, they know you're telling them I'm attaching my resume or my CV. And then as a main title, you have CV, curriculum vitae, resume, who cares? what they expect to see as a main title. Your name and your headline should be very clear message what you do. And then your contact details, profile summary, work experience, education, professional memberships, that's it, okay? Is it clear up to now? This checklist will be shared with you, so you can hand it next to you whenever you're going to revamp, to redo or recreate or just create from scratch. It takes you through all the information that you should include there, okay? Based on our training today, feel free to adjust it if you think something inappropriate for you. But definitely you can checklist if you have included all the information there. The do's and don'ts shortly: name and contact details, language combination, fields of specialization, CAT tools, DDP experience, if there is any, relevant, again, relevant work experience, relevant education, certifications and credentials, professional memberships, links and numbers. What we don't suggest and what we avoid: photo if not professional. Let's say that you add a photo, it's your choice. At least have a professional photo, not from summer vacation or from a wedding, because I've seen that, okay? Birth date, marital status, irrelevant hobbies or interests. Very common mistake. In the hobbies, all translators, they put reading. Yes, you're a translator, you most probably like reading, okay? Is that something that adds value to your CV? Is a reason to hire you over your competitors? Does it provide information that is interesting, to the evaluator of your CV, so as to hire you over your competitors? So don't include, generic and irrelevant. Yes, might be your hobby. It's not the place to put it, especially if it doesn't give an information to the recipient, evaluator of your CV. Again, list of all references. As I told you, the previous candidate, I was reviewing his CV. In the same PDF, he had all the certificates, reference letters, and so on in one PDF. No. If you're asked to provide 3 to 5 references, that's okay. You don't go there and give, like you're desperate, 50 reference letters, 50 companies that you have worked. People, they don't need it. If you're able to give them the right information through your headline, CV, and the 3 to 5 recent projects, people, they will hire you. You don't need, to overdo it here. List of all dictionaries in the past. Who cares? List of all seminars and webinars. You can have them somewhere listed in your about section on your website. You can even use an online CV creator to have them listed there. Your LinkedIn profile, yes, because they work pretty well as keywords, but not in a PDF that should be 2 pages. Rates, okay, I don't suggest. Again, Marion, let me know if I have answered your question. Again, acronyms, okay, abbreviations. And also in the past, translators, they used to add all hardware or software non-relevant. Yes, they might understand that you're techie, but if it's non-relevant, include it somewhere else, okay? And link them with a link to find out. So here, just to understand, one survey of employers found that the following aspects were most looked for. What the employers, okay, they look for, and you see 45% previous related work experience, the first thing they look. Qualification and skills that they are included in the profile summary. Easy to read, because we underestimate the easy to read. We think it's not important. It's the third thing that is, if they find it too difficult to read, the same with your LinkedIn about section. If I see an essay reading LinkedIn profile section, I need to be very 100% interested in working with that person for some other reasons to go and read it, okay? And usually that doesn't apply. Accomplishment, spelling, grammar, education, you can take a look later on. Let's go through questions. Should I include a photo of mine in my CV? Again, it always depends on the country of your CV is going to be sent. Following a small research I did in some countries like France, Germany, recruiters do expect to see a photo in your CV, whereas in other countries like UK, they don't. And in my opinion, a photo should be avoided in a translator CV. But if you choose to include a photo, please keep in mind to include a professional photo. But that's, my advice. What length a CV, okay, should be? 1-2 pages, as I told you. US CV shouldn't exceed the length of 1 page. Still nowadays, okay, guys? Should I include my rates? Your CV will be stored in a client's database or on the web, and it won't be, always the latest version with your current rates. If your rates are included in your CV, you won't be able to adapt them, okay, to a particular project clients, etc. Thus, you lose some flexibility. It would be advisable to quote them in your email cover letter rather than your CV, and if, okay, required. Is it preferable to use the ULPS template or any other templates? Okay, as I mentioned, I have answered these. I have been a translator for 20 years. How can I list all of my experience in less than 3 pages? You don't need to list all of your experience. The prospective client won't be interested in all of the companies that you have worked for. It would be advisable to use only the relevant client, okay? The relevant to the specific client project information, highlight the areas of expertise the recipient of your CV would be interested in. Creating a blog, an online CV, or even using your LinkedIn profile, where you could add the entire experience of yours and add a URL in your CV, could be a good idea. Alban, what do you think? Because I think you have the most experience of all. Again, for Marion.
Yeah, I agree with that last thing, because that's what I was confronted with in the last 5 years. As you say, you can't write 5 pages with all your experience. So you target it, and otherwise you refer, say, well, see my link. Or
use the
whatever.
most recent or the most relevant, and put links.
Yeah,
Exactly. You want.
Yeah.
I have the opposite. So here, let's say for a starting out translator, I have no experience at all. What could I include in my CV? In such case, when you start as a translator, it would be a good idea to highlight your educational background that would be relevant. So in my case, when I was hired, I had 0 experience. What I did, I included the thesis, the dissertation thesis subject, which was, a manual of engines, of vessel engines. And actually the company that they hired me is actually a technical company undertaking such projects. So it was a reason for them to see the relevance. Okay, and applying also for any unpaid jobs that you have, traineeship of yours, and so on. Why shouldn't I include any acronyms? I think it should be clear up to now. You can read it again as many times. I'm going to upload it. Should I state my marital status, number of children, religion, date of birth? No. Should I include a list with the companies I have worked with? You should be very careful in such a case, as you should have the client's permission. Otherwise, you would be in breach, of confidentiality, even if you haven't signed an NDA. Okay, so you will get the key points to check your CV, and this is for LinkedIn again. Okay, but we have covered LinkedIn. Here, for example, you see that a professional photo is required. Every section on any online platform that they require you to fill in, you should fill that in. So people that they use LinkedIn, they don't put a photo, they're outdated, and most probably they don't use efficiently LinkedIn and such platforms. Professional headline, location and industry, LinkedIn URL, you can adjust it, contact information with website link, profile summary with keywords, media added in the feature section. You can even add slide share presentation. I used to do so. Skills and expertise optimized for those you want to be known for. That's a clever thing. That's what we are going to do with your prospecting. Those that you would like to be known for that specific prospecting campaign. You can even add as a secondary information the other ones, but highlight those that you would like them to pay attention, the readers or the visitors of your profile. Relevant, again, education, certification, volunteer work. There's a specific section, professional membership, a specific section. LinkedIn, linked groups that you've joined, recommendation. There is also project section recently I've seen. So you can even include all of the projects that you have worked on in your LinkedIn profile. Those are outdated, I think, right now, because we were using all those to create about pages online that people, they can visit, to find out more about us. I think LinkedIn now has overtaken all of those. But you can take a look and play a bit around. Those tools, if you would like to create a visual CV or something and play around, they take you step by step on what sections to include and what information, so you can create, your CV. This is a Translate Media, so Translator CV Builder. You go there, you include your details, and there you can download the CV based on their advice. Those are very clever, nice. I'm going a bit faster because I don't think we could stay longer here. I like those formats, you don't need to use all of those sections, but you can use it wisely. It attracts in a positive way, the evaluator attention, and definitely it gives you the information that they want to see here. So you see contact details, you see the profile summary, the skills, social media, work experience. They start right away with the work experience, the education, then the languages here. So I found it here on freepeak.com. Another one. I like that even more. So if you don't like the previous one, it's too modern, you can use something like this, okay? You can even use your brand color. Again, freepeak.com. All those resources will be shared with you that are based on which, I create this presentation. Those will be the handouts. And now it's time for any kind of your questions. And of course, I'm going to stop share unless you would like me to show something more, just to go through shortly your CVs, and I'm open to discuss it further.
I'd like to give a little piece of advice to the others. I've been trying to create my CV also on Canva, and I find it very. I like it. I really like it. So I think that Canva can also be very, very useful for CVs.
even with the free version.
Yes, yes.
It takes you step by step, but I would prefer to use Canva for your portfolio. So if you have zero experience with creating a portfolio, then definitely go on Canva and check out the templates. You might not find any related to our services template, but it's a great idea for you to go through to realize what a portfolio should include. What a direct client, when you send them your portfolio, would expect to see there as information of yours. Okay?
Good.
In September, we're going to have a free webinar for all of you guys. If you have zero experience on how to create a portfolio and you would like to create your own portfolio, then this webinar with Eliana Karis is a mentee of mine. She was able to reach 10K months, and she has been using only LinkedIn in 10 minutes per day. And what she did, she followed my advice to create a portfolio. Not everyone did, okay? Not everyone does, okay? But what she did, she created a strategy on LinkedIn, sending this portfolio. She will share how she did this. She created 3 different target portfolios for 3 different types of clients, and she sent targeted portfolios, and that's how she closed the biggest cosmetic brands, such as Clarins, only using LinkedIn. Even by attending live events, which actually she used to do so in the past, and she shares that information also in a live. So if you visit my YouTube channel, you can find her live. She shares that there. She wouldn't be able to get access to the executives of Clarins at a live event. And even if she visited the booth, let's say of Clarins or whatever, at an exhibition, let's say she had the guts to go, would she know who is the right person to contact at the booth? Or who is a decision maker and would be attending live the decision maker? What LinkedIn is so powerful for? You visit Dior, you visit Clarins, you visit any kind of high-end client you would like to get, and you are able to get right away access to the executives there because you know who they are and you can address the message to those people. You couldn't have access, even if you would like to get access to them in a live event, you couldn't know who's that person unless you have been, I don't know, stalking them online. So let me go through shortly to your CVs, unless there are questions. So now is your time to unmute yourselves, guys, okay?
Yes, please. How did you say she distributed her 3 CVs?
Not CVs, portfolios, I mentioned. That's what we're going to say in September, but through the messenger, through the LinkedIn prospecting that we're going to create all of you. Right, yes. That's why you're all of you here. The things that I'm going to teach you, how to create a prospecting system for your own business. That's what she did, nothing more.
Okay.
The added value, if we can say that she did, she took it a step further, which always is my suggestion, but not everyone, follows my suggestion, is that she created portfolios targeted per client. And when she contacted Clarins or any other, brand for that specific, she had a portfolio where right away she showed to those clients what she can do for them.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, you can do it for free on Canva. We'll show you how to do this. But it's a great investment, to hire someone on Fiverr or Upwork to do this for you. Visually, impressive. As long as you include the right information, targeted information. That's the reason they're going to trust you, keep discussing with you in the chat, and even hire you at the end. Because they see the relevant information. It's the same that we're discussing here with the CV, whereas the CV doesn't really work for direct clients. CV works for agencies better. Unless the direct clients, as I mentioned, are familiar with, hiring translators, and they might ask you. So, Anais, most probably.
Sorry, Virginia, can I ask a question myself? So if you have 2 specializations, do you need 2 separate CVs, or you can somehow combine them in one?
In the CV, you mean the specialization?
Yes. For example, I am a medical and legal translator. I've been using 2 different CVs up to now, but maybe I will be contacting LSPs that can cover both specializations. Do I need to distinguish between the 2?
No. I don't suggest you. If you're going to be consistent on all social media, and I think I've seen, Lara, your message, I'm going to find your CV because it's not in the documents. So I've seen that you uploaded. I've seen the message that you uploaded, but did you upload, Lara, in a different format that I cannot see to download it? So to answer Yolanda's question, which should be all of your question, because most of us, we have different specializations. I wouldn't suggest to have, 3 different and exclusively different, which means that you don't mention the other specialization in the CVs. When I started out, I had 3 different CVs and 3 different samples of work. One for legal, one for finance, and one was for technical, because I used to translate instructions and manuals for aircrafts. What I did is I highlighted, the way that I told you, the specific specialization per CV for the specific project I was applying for to get. So if it was for technical translation work, I would apply with a technical, translator CV of mine, which, what does that mean? I had technical experience first, or legal, respectively, if it was a legal project, or finance, if it was a finance project. In the headline, most probably I would include, or I would combine all of them, if not, at least the main one. And the work experience, I would start with the main one. By main, I mean the project I'm applying for, and then as a secondary information, the 2 other specializations, because that way I am consistent, okay, with my methods and the specializations I provide, but I also provide them, and I highlight and I attract their attention to the right information so as to be considered as the right candidate. So Lara, I remember you updated, can you share your CV in the chat? Where have you? I also have to leave. Yes, everyone has to leave. So give me if you would like to receive feedback, or you can leave and you can watch the recording. I couldn't attach it this morning. I sent it by Dropbox, so there should be a link. Okay, that's why I cannot find it in the files. So can you share the link here or not? Can you copy paste your link from the group?
Yes, there's a link. I sent a post, and
yes.
after my
copy paste, can you copy paste that link in the chat?
No, I don't know. No, I can't, because now I'm using the iPad, and no.
We all of us need to go. Okay, let me go through, and if you need to leave, guys, you can leave. Okay, because I think all of us we need to leave. Also, Marion. So I will go through. Okay, with the process here. Let me go through with my process, and of course, if you need to go, just go and watch my feedback, guys. Okay, I will find Lara and I will open it.
Thank you, Virginia. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye. So,
bye.
Anais. Bye. So you see my screen, guys? Okay. Yeah. So shortly, what we need to change? The length is fine. It's easily readable. Gastronomy or feminism only if it's relevant. Otherwise, voluntary work. I don't know if it gives any information to the clients shortly. I think everyone after this training would give you feedback. Generic headline, translator, proofreader, and post editor. I would expect after the LinkedIn about section, all of you correct the headline here. And you need to have the same that you use, or similar to the one that you use. Freelance translator and proofreader and post editor to generic. And would expect to see your name or the company, your brand name.
Yeah.
Specialized in professional development, okay, learnings, trainings, okay, work experience. You can use bullet points just to make it clear for them. Maybe number of words and so on. And definitely, this specialization should be clearly stated in the headline. Project manager, communication intern, translator, proofreader. Okay, you have a list of the previous clients. Unless you have their prior, approval, or you were in-house, you cannot use them. You start with, what is this? In the casual communication translation, this is a master degree. So I would start with master MA in, that's how, MA in, and then we don't put ISIT first, not abbreviation. We put first the full name, of the authority, and then the abbreviation. Erasmus could be secondary information underneath your bachelor, because I think a BA in English language is more powerful than Erasmus. So also change the order accordingly. Any questions? I think based on this training, you can watch it again and again. You can the handout, you can review it, and please, you feel free to re-upload it, okay, in case you need me to go through again, or you have a specific question, because up to now, I didn't see anything. I'm going to tell you things that I find inappropriate, so I'm not going. So I really like your logo, Julie. So Julie, she has a CIO certified and chartered translator, because I assume that you're going to send it to agencies so they do know what is the CIOL. So the CIO profile and LinkedIn could be with links, or could be LinkedIn linked to the actual name. You know how to include links and make that clickable?
Yes, I can. Yes.
French English translator specializing in business, legal, certification, social sciences. That's okay, but you could actually have something French to English, you know, business, legal.
I haven't updated it since we started our
social
course.
science.
I'll just give you it as it is.
You have the profile, the way that we discuss, okay? I need to see the dynamic words here.
Okay.
Education, professional, no. You need to start with the work experience and relevant work experience before having this section.
Okay.
Then you have business college, honors degree, no. Then you have the important information. So experience is more important than education, especially if you're many years in the industry. So I would expect to see it higher. Okay, I work with, I don't like this here, doesn't make for me any difference, that you have the logo of SDL. Additional training, interests. I don't understand what's the difference between additional training and the education, professional qualification memberships that you have here, Julie. It's a bit frustrating. Is it clear to you? Have them, all of them in one section, okay? And focus on one service. You can have the virtual assistant or secretary assistant services as a secondary or somewhere mentioned, given that, you know, the actual, so Valentina, she submitted it in a Word format. I wouldn't expect to see that from an experienced translator, Valentina. Are you here? And that's how does it open. That's why I don't suggest you to send doc formats, because that's how I get, and plus I get also the comment, the actual changes. you are a real example, Valentina, why I don't suggest, okay, to send your CV in a Word format. Didn't check all of your names. I will go through the names that you have sent. So guys, based on the experience, Federico, now you know what I'm missing here in the CV.
The headline.
Exactly, now you got and also the subject. You see the subject, the name of the site is your name and N. Do they people need to understand that this is a CV? Gianoro Valentina N. You see the name of the file?
Yeah.
The details play a role, especially for evaluators of CV, that they spend so many years, you know, evaluating CVs, and they go just and they reject fastly, you know. Valentina, that doesn't mean that you're not an expert in your field. What I miss here, okay, is actually following my advice. So, but remember, okay, at least you have here, what does it mean? Native Italian translator, okay. I would expect to see more than credentials here, like your skills. I see that you're experts in the local chamber. I see that you have 12 years of experience. I would expect to see some dynamic words like for your skills or your values. Email says here, new email with domain is going to be here, amazing. LinkedIn, that's clickable, amazing. Make sure that people, they realize that it's clickable. Savona, IT, okay, that's location. And then I would prefer to see the contact information here in 3, like different, you see, because it's that small and it takes so much space here. Professional experience should be the first one, legal and business translator, proofreader, phone translator, working language services, revision, okay, expert of the local chamber, agreements, business. So I would expect to see the specialization, that's the most important, in a different, clearly stated format, because that's the most important information here, okay? That's what they expect. Master's degree, education or the certifications, I authorize the process. This is because of your legal training. So Valentina, if you would like to amend and update and re-upload it, I would expect to see the name of the file changed, your headline, a profile summary to all of you guys with your skills. Contact information, if this is too small, put it here in 3 different columns without, you know, the actual, what they see is a table. Professional experience, I would expect to see, you know, your brand name, if you're going to buy a domain name underneath your title. Working languages, services, specialization, perfect. At least you offer here what we discussed. The previous background. I think this information could be 1 page, if you agree, all of you. So Valentina, if you're not here, you can redo this. I would expect to see, okay, based on my advice, in a PDF format and 1 page. Next is Federico.
And I also would suggest Valentina in Italian to put the first name, Valentina Giannorio. Yeah, because I read this online.
Yeah. What's this, Federico?
To put the first name before the surname.
In Greece, it's also more formal to have the surname after first the surname and after first the last name, then the first name. Used to be here as well. The formal way maybe also in Italy was that why Valentina has it. But based on English format and more contemporary ways of addressing ourselves and to be updated, yes, we need to put the first name first and the last name last name. That's why it's called first and last name. Whereas in Greek, we don't name. It's mikro, epitheto. So we don't call them first and last name. doesn't really require an order to have the names. So, yes, question?
No, I didn't know for Greece. That's interesting information that you just said. So I just said,
yeah, doesn't name in Greece. Yeah. It's the small name, mikro, and last name is called epitheto.
Right.
I cannot translate literally. But usually the old days, all the formal documents, they should have the last name first and the first name last, because it has to do with the last and first name here. I think because of the English appearance here in Greece and more modern ways of using, the names nowadays, we put first name and last name. But also here in Greece, we used to start with the last name in a written formal document. So Federico Zucchini, resume. At least, Federico, you have your name, you have the type of the documents. I would like to see, for example, maybe a short title like, I don't know, German, English to Italian, marketing translator, something short,
Yeah.
So you
I
have
wanted to say that I just a brief note that never use this as a translator resume. So I just put my normal one, but happy
it looks like you don't use it as a translator because the way that you have formatted here, it looks like for in-house position. Also the fact that you have started with your address on the first part and then you have date of birth. No. Okay, no. So all this information would be in one section as a contact detail underneath your name and next to your name, your headline. We don't start with the education unless we are starting out, so it looks lack of experience. When we start with the education, even if it's very powerful, we don't start with the abbreviation. We start with the full name of the actual authority, and then we have the abbreviation. People, they don't, supposed to know everything, because we know you have huge work experience, so you would start. Someone hiring you, they would expect to see you. They are not going to hire you because of your education, okay? That would be secondary information. They're going to hire you for your expertise, previous experience, and last, your education. Unless they are hiring someone junior, so they don't expect to see experience, so they will hire you because of your credentials. So since holiday periods, Berlin, so I would prefer to see since to the full spectrum of the time frame to present. Then I would expect to see the company, and the first goes always the most important information. Is it the company that you used to work the most important information or your title? So I think the evaluator of your CV would expect to see what was your position there, and then what was the company. They're not interested first in the company, then what you were doing there. That's also the reason why we need to see the experience. We need to see the relevance. So you have management, growth, creation. So you can have here the dynamic, successfully managed. I helped to grow, enhanced, created, identified, successfully coordinated, monitor. So that's a perfect example of rewriting the dynamic words, but at least follows, the instructions of today's training. Again, here, I would prefer to see first your title, the type, if it was a full employment or a freelancing position, and last, the company. So I would change the order. The similar applies here, okay? Skills, I would expect for a translator CV to see higher in the order. That's the most important information, okay? And certificates, I would call it your, let's say, CPD, continuous professional development.
Okay.
You have questions, but got it.
Yeah.
And that's good that you told me that it's not a translator CV.
Yeah.
I expect to see your translator CV.
I will share, yeah.
You can upload it when you have it ready. So as you see here, Yolanda, looks a bit huge, the photo. Okay, let me see. So
it is a ready-made Canva template. So I will after today's webinar, I will check. It is
even when I make it smaller, you realize that it takes so much space here, which is not needed.
Yes, I will make a second, after today's session, I will make a second CV without a photo.
That's the purpose. That's the purpose of this training today, for all of you guys to go and update it, okay, accordingly. And also to have to brainstorm ideas together. So I assume all of you, no matter how many years you're in the business, you need to review your subject. How you save the file. D, year, U, CV, LS. LS most probably is life sciences.
Absolutely, because I have a second one called LG Legal.
Put it in the whole, okay, name. It's not something you need to hide here. That's why they're going to save it. That's how they're going to find you, okay? Okay, so since 2002 up to now, they need to see that currently, that's your current position, okay? Certified translator is too little. You are a certified, I don't know, medical, pharmaceutical. If you're a legal as well, you can put it. If you're also an interpreter, you need to put it. So you're certified and unqualified interpreter for legal and business and pharmaceutical or whatever. You have it here, but that's consistency, guys, we were discussing. So that's a great example. That's why I always recommend you to stay until the end, because some things are clearly, what's consistency here? So I go here and I see underneath Yolanda's name, certified translator and EU accredited interpreter, with something I don't see here when I go to the work experience. And then I say, okay, so it says interpreter, but there's 0 work experience. You realize what I'm talking about, Yolanda?
Which is, it is a kind of true, because I'm starting out interpreter anyway, and I don't want to highlight this lack of experience in this particular CV. It is my medical pharmaceutical CV.
What we do in such a case, even if it's a medical pharmaceutical, either you don't mention it in your title
at all.
They're going, but if you are going to use it in your LinkedIn profile or your website, and they're going to check you out, I don't suggest you to remove it. So the best idea would be to keep it consistent as the title that you have all over the internet, because you never know if you're going to be hired also for your interpreting, you know?
Yes, I'm planning to do that.
And also by having it the work experience title, you don't need to have a full list of your interpreting projects. You can have another, you know, bullet point here mentioning that you're providing interpreting services for those fields, and that's it. If they want to require more details, you can even have a link. Should you, you know, or would you like to find out more about my interpreting background? Click here and you can redirect them to a page of your website where you list all of your interpreting experience. That applies to all of you guys. That's something all of you. I would expect to see a longer here profile summary. I really like the way the information here is stated. I would like to see where you are located though, even if it's Athens and your postal code.
Okay.
The languages is something I wouldn't expect in a professional translator's CV to be the list, the last information that is included. So I would expect to see it next to you here.
Okay.
English, French, German, whatever it is, 2 certified translator. And education would be the last. So languages would be higher. Master's degree, okay, a main conference, bachelor's, okay. So when we use a template on Canva, even if it's that nicely, you know, structured, and we want more space to expand a bit more, because we want to see some relevancy here just to hire you, Yolanda, and I don't think that this CV reflects the vast experience that you have, okay, as a translator and interpreter. You can even make shorter, you know, the length of the left column, okay, which the information is not that important, and then write a bit more content there. So feel free to play around, especially if you're going to use a pre-made, so as to be able to serve the purposes of your CV. The most important information is your relevant work experience, your headline, and your profile summary. Why is the headline and the profile summary? Is the reason for people to choose if they are going to read through the rest of your CV. So they might reject you because of your headline or your profile summary. If they don't see relevancy, if they don't see a very nicely written profile summary, they might not go even further, even if you're a very good translator and you have the skills to be, you know, hired, you might lose the job, you know, or the client because of this. And that's just such a shame, especially if you have the skills, if you have the credentials, because you weren't able to showcase that. So Marion, I really like, you're not here, I know, I really like the format. I would definitely make that smaller. It's huge. Definitely, I assume after our LinkedIn About section and headline, I would expect all of you guys to have your headline here. So translator doesn't say anything for me, doesn't give me any kind of information. There are billions of translators. What makes you unique? Why to hire you? It has get in touch, areas, okay, IT tools. I like this. Charity work, okay. Contest, okay. Hobbies, video games, reading. I was expecting to see someone reading. Watercolor painting and beauty. If it's not related to the jobs that you would like to undertake, remove it. It's useless, like we discussed, information. I like you start with the work experience. I would prefer to see the profile summary. Everyone expects, especially with the pre-made, you know, templates, they expect to see the profile summary. Already pre-made templates like this one or on Canva, they include a profile summary section. There is a reason why. So I like that she has her name, all of you guys. Your first work experience should have your company name, even if as a freelancer is your own name. The freelance, no. Here you are the owner, but instead of the owner, I would prefer to see here your headline. Is it marketing? What is it? Professional translator? English and Spanish into French, full, okay? That's the most important information. And you have so much space here that could be taken into consideration having a full headline with all of your, specialization language combination, and you haven't used it. So marketing translation, and has some of the documents, localization of emails for a platform, not for a platform. Even if you want to be here to put the truth, I realize that. But if you are putting for a platform, for one client, for a newsletter, okay, it's like putting yourself into a trap. Why is that? Because you tell your clients, I just had one client for one platform. I just had this one experience for a newsletter. What do? We don't need to lie. You don't need to say for 10 platforms. Why just not to mention the A or the one? Okay. Examples or recent projects include localization of emails, okay, for this platform, for that specific platform. Translation for this newsletter, or newsletter translation, but with bullets, as most recent or relevant projects, rather than just one project that you have. Because the way Marion has put that here, Marion, I hope that you watch the recording and you readjust this information, because that's a drawback. That's a reason someone might not hire you at all, because they realize that you have worked only in 2 projects, 3 maximum, okay? Editorial translation for a book? No, okay? So you could include editorial translation as background, recent project included, and you can put this one, okay? But not a book on architecture. Include more details there, and if it's a book, you need to name the book, because you're the translator, most probably has been published. So you can even name, the publisher and so on. So especially when it's for a publication, you need to include the information there. Otherwise, if I see someone telling me editorial translation for a book on architecture, I don't believe them. I don't trust them. Would you trust them? Would you believe that this is true? Of course I trust Marion. Of course, I don't mean that Marion is not. But if I see such a CV from someone I don't know, I would see that this is suspicious, okay, for a book, and she doesn't mention the book or the publisher and can name, so it's like legal work that she's done or whatever. Subtitling, translation, no. When you are subtitling, you don't translate, you subtitle. Is that correct? In 25 minutes, not again at 25 minutes. The way, Marion, you have structured your work experience here is like you have listed your projects. So either you create a list of recent projects and you have them with bullets, but without the word eh. So I would prefer to see 25 minutes video, translation or subtitling for app developers, the way we say things, it's different from saying translation of 25 minutes. Do you understand the difference? Is this clear? No, if you don't reply, it's not clear. I mean, by rephrasing, I will be repeating myself if you don't tell me it's clear. By rephrasing and telling translation of a newsletter, it means that she has only translating one newsletter. That's what I get as information. If she rephrases that and says, recent projects include newsletter translation, can be more than one, can be one, but at least in the recent projects. So it's not just the only one project that she has done. By mentioning, subtitling a 25 minutes video, it's just only the subtitling experience that she has. By rephrasing the sentence, having as a recent projects in subtitling include, among others, okay, instead of a 25, and I wouldn't put the 25 if it's less than what is expected. If it's against you, don't use it. Neglect it, okay? Don't lie, but don't use it. It's different, okay, to avoid mentioning something, and it's different to lie for something, okay? So I would expect to see here, for example, video subtitling for app developers. That's it. Project manager, academic assignments, perfect. Amazing. Yes, who's next? Alban, I think everyone else, Alban and Lara, is that correct?
I hope so.
Analyzing, so Alban, because you have sent it, so I need to go through my emails. And in the meantime, guys, so as to make it shorter, can you find the link that Lara said in the group and you can share it in the chat? If not, I'm going to do it, but if someone has it open and is easier for you to go through this, in the meantime, I'm going through my emails to find Alban's. So that's why I insist you to actually submit them, earlier. And in the format that I'm mentioning for you. Questions? Has anyone any questions about the feedback I'm giving, the training itself, anything that you don't agree, you agree, whatever?
No, it's very clear. It's been really clear. Thank you.
Great to know. So I'm going through my emails, Alban, to open your CV.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I said, like
No
technology
problem.
has let me down last week because the Wi-Fi there was bad, and this
I'm
week
glad that
because
you've made it, all of you. And
but
it's
I really want to. Yes, that's why I'm on my iPhone, and then I couldn't access my file. So I luckily I had sent my CV to fairly recently, so that's why I forwarded that one to you via email, because I couldn't get it from my desktop to put it via Facebook.
so that's what's open to me. So it doesn't seem to open. Okay,
no.
open.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Alban's. Okay, I like that you have here is your logo. Is your logo, Alban?
Yeah.
Perfect. I really like that you have the last updated. It should be more recent though, if you're going to.
Yeah. I have a more recent one, but like I said, I can't access my thing.
I don't prefer to see linguist unless you're applying for a job application that says that they are looking for a linguist. I would prefer to see that you're a Q&A professional or translator or proofreader with your specialization. The 18 years is very powerful. Okay, that you're in the translation industry 26 years as what is the first question. If 18 years you're a full-time freelancer, the rest of the year were first-hand project manager. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, work professionally, research, focus, precision, quality. I would prefer to see them expanded in a sentence rather than, words. Trust. Yeah, you don't give me, a story behind it and how that's connected with your translation. I just see some words about trustworthy, okay, precision, quality. I don't want to see just an order of words. Yes, you start right away with your experience, post-editing machine translation of website updates. You have the words numbers here, okay. The abbreviation makes us look cooler. If you're going to create a portfolio later on, make sure that all those abbreviations are in full words for your direct clients. Ideas, software localization. I like this. You have all of your clients there.
Yeah, like I said, that's built on the experience I had over the last 15 years. I actually ask my clients what they expected to see. And then, and because of that, that's why I put it there. It was not standard at the time, but they said, well, what we look for is really obviously your specialization, but your client names and your number of words. So that's why I had order like that. And each time I sent it to the agency, I always got work because they had the information there. So my success rate is actually 75%. Each time I sent it.
Your success rate. Okay.
Yeah. Because there was the information that they wanted was already in my CV, so I think it worked in my favor at the time. But I know now a lot of things have changed.
It works on your favor because you have 18 years of experience. It works on your favor because you have two different specializations. So you're not just a legal, finance, pharmaceutical, marketing translator. You're just technical translator, and you actually specialize in software localization. I think that's why it has success. And your technical background is clearly stated with what exactly documents you have been translated. I don't think that you get success because of listing all of those companies here, which actually could be logos to your website and more powerful to get direct clients. Okay. But definitely it's an add-on. But I wouldn't expect to see, let's say, in a two-page CV, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines of clients. You are, 20 years in the industry. Someone would expect to have such many clients. But if you get more, are you going to include all of them, like 50, 100, I don't know? That's not a place to put it. So you can indicatively mention that I indicatively mentioned, top 10, 20 of my clients. My full list can be found here, and you can redirect them to your LinkedIn profile or to your website, which I totally recommend you, since you have such a huge experience. You could actually create on your own company, have them on the page of the case studies, rather than having a list of the names of the clients, which is also powerful, with a testimonial page or with their logos. I would prefer to choose, 10, 20 of them and having them as a case success study. So Logitech, was it 200K words localization of what to do what in what time frame and your accomplishments, rather than just mentioning their name. Okay. Medical instruments, Q&A checks, pro bono reviewer. Okay, I don't think that's where you should put that. Put it in your LinkedIn profile, your website, not here after so much experience that you have. Who cares? Okay. It shows something about, your values. I understand some of you might tell me yes, I understand that someone you know is sensitive socially. They also offer pro bono, okay, a successful translator, but I don't think the CV, you know, is the place to put it. Senior project manager, if they don't care, I would put all this that you have on your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
You don't need to have it in your CV, especially if you're so many years, which means that it takes you so long. You can reduce to one page your CV if you put the previous, which is not relevant experience, to your LinkedIn profile, and you can have a link and you can find more about my previous, you know, employed experience as a project manager here, and you can redirect to your website where you have a specific page with your experience, or your LinkedIn profile where you can just copy paste it and create, you know, your work experience there.
Yeah, that's that I was going to ask you, so that's great that you confirmed that, because that's what I thought during the session. Yeah.
And also for you, Federico, to check here, you see localization project manager, then the company, then the location, full-time frame. We start with the most experienced information, which for the recruiters usually is your title, your job, you know, what you've been doing for them. Education certificates, MA, BA, that's what I expect from you, Marion, and all of you guys to put there nice, you know, you don't make it difficult for the clients to understand. If it's a master's degree, put an MA in, and then expand a bit more, BA in, and expand a bit more. That's what they expect to see. Tools and equipment, okay, that's not just tools, okay, and I don't expect to see all of your hardware unless they ask you for specific hardware. We discussed that. Professional development, yes, coaching, amazing, certification, okay, training, webinars, if they're irrelevant, especially coaching, unless you think that by helping them, you can increase the productivity of your clients by mentioning them. Referees, portfolio, LinkedIn profile page, it could be actually higher in the order, your LinkedIn profile page, professional and personal references upon request to update it, but okay, you can mention that in your email. Okay, so portfolio is not your LinkedIn profile. We discussed about shortly what is portfolio. Yeah. We can expand a bit more. And then we have Lara's here, and we are done, unless, okay, I really like, Lara, that you have it in, okay, words have power. So that's the art that we were discussing, and many colors and different backgrounds. Okay, okay. Wow. So this is not a CV, okay? Why this is not a CV? Because when someone asks you to submit a CV for a project, they expect to see a CV as a PDF 1 to 2 pages. That's what recruiters, or when you apply for a specific job, they expect to see. Because also sample of work? No. No?
That's beautiful. A small website, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, Lara. We could talk for hours for this, but for me, this is not a CV. Do you call it a CV in the job, in the title of the file? How you call it? So I would say that this is more a portfolio attempt. You have here CV, Lara Moro. No. So first of all, the subject, okay, all of you. Save the file, okay, the way that we discussed. Then when we talk about a CV, we expect to see 1 2-page CV. The recruiters, especially when they have, like myself, 47 CVs or interviews to go through, they are not going through all of these documents, especially for a specific project that they want the job done. That's what they want to do. Lara mentions that this actually portfolio, which is not a CV for me, a CV has the format that I told you. This is more or less a portfolio or a small website that you mentioned. What purpose serves, okay? And why you use the specific colors, fonts, is it because of your branding, and so on. So here there is a language professional to generic. Okay, again, I don't see exactly the relevancy. If you're going to apply for translation project specifically, let's say for sportswear marketing, I would expect to see right away in the headline. So that's a generic that you send to everyone because it includes a sample of your work for all of your kind of specialization. So it's a generic one. It might serve some purposes, different ones from the ones that we discussed here. So if someone is on a hurry as a project manager, vendor manager, you're going to apply for a project and they have like, I don't know, 24 hours to assign this project and the deadline is next week and they need right away, you know, a very professional, a specialized translator and a reviewer for that specific project. Are they going through all of this? Well, it's an open discussion, I'm open to discuss, but definitely it's not targeted. So the first thing that we see here, apart from not following the structure, is the fact that it's not targeted. So it says I'm a professional linguist with a gift, you can trust me. My target language is Italian, my source language is, My ambition is to work with the best companies in language service. Why? Because Lara, she keeps having as her LinkedIn profile a generic one, so as to be able to serve any kind of clients. Apart this from being outdated, I wouldn't like anyone who graduated from my courses or my mentoring programs to have such a generic either CV or LinkedIn profile. I would expect all of you, okay, to have at least specialized profiles, CVs, and websites that the least you can take out of this training if you would like to become fully booked and reach 10K months. If you would like to work as you've been working so far, you can keep, okay, performing the same practices. If you would like to change and see the promises that I've been promising to you, the results like other people I have worked with, they have reached out, you need to change something, okay? If you don't change anything, you will be getting the same results that you've been getting so far. And since you are here, all of you guys, most probably you're here because you want to change something. Might be, you know, getting better results, work faster, I don't know, paid higher and work less, whatever you want. So I'm graduating for a language and literatures, recently completed the SEO course. So we see here, we have the actually degree mixed with a CPD, which the CPD says SEO and localization course and UX localization, but up to now, never was mentioned in a headline, okay, on the, let's say, introductory section, but she is an SEO and UX localization, let's say, expert, if she was supposed, okay, to promote herself as one. So that's consistency, especially for such very difficult, okay, in high demand fields like UX and very highly paid, okay, this is very highly paid. And SEO, which is in need right now, which you could be paid more than 30 cents per word. My friends, they provide those services. For Italian guys, they are paid more than 30 cents per word. Why is that? Because they promote themselves as the experts in those fields. By mentioning them in your educational background, but you don't mention them in your headline, in your introduction section, when you promote yourself, you've lost the clients. For me, it's inconsistency. I need to see that right away. As the opposite of Yolanda, she has in her title something that was not reflected in the work experience. We need consistency, guys. All over, you know, the text should be, if we start with something, we need to continue and to actually explain that and clarify the work experience. Recent highlights, it has localization specialist for a client, beauty content localization, Italian localizer, okay, and localization head of Italy. One of your clients actually, she started getting paid for 30 cents because she was very highly professional. So what we see here in the work experience, that she's a localization expert, but she has never mentioned that in the headline in the introduction section. So we need to go through so many pages to realize that the most recent project actually have a consistency. And actually, what is this? That she's a localization expert and usually for beauty and I don't see software, most probably, and the rest. Okay. So if you're going to listen to this recording, Lara, I would like you this to be mentioned earlier and make sure that you actually provide this information. This is a portfolio, the way that you have formatted it, okay? And it's not a CV, it's not what someone, when they ask you to submit a CV to get a job, they would expect to see, okay? I'm not against, I'm open to discuss it, but it's not what someone would expect. Continues. So here explains again the clients, which actually is not needed in a CV. People, they can click to find out, okay, what the clients are. If we're going to use this space as a case study, I would prefer to see how many, you know, words, what was the achievement, what was the end result for the client working with them, rather than, okay, what. So I joined the team responsible for setting up. So right away, start out, set it up, okay, and you don't need a secondary page for that. That should be included in your work experience here. So when you mention this collaboration, right away, you should have, you know, your achievements. Ongoing, I have been working with, I started, I was then assigned. No, that's a whole story, could be a website content.
So I'll have to leave now.
Yes,
so.
yes, you can leave, Julie, anyone can leave.
I'll come back and I'll watch the rest. So thank you very much.
Perfect, good luck.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, Julie.
Bye, dear.
Again, ghostwriter, a different here. Work experience as a country representative. Work experience. So I don't want to say this. What's missing apart from the format? Okay, we discussed a different format. What is the main, okay, if we can say, component of the ones that I mentioned that always your CV should be and have? You can unmute yourselves. I don't think Lara is going to take that personally. It's a case study here. It's actually something we all of us learn, and for me, it's really interesting. I've never seen someone submitting me such a CV when I go through, but that's always interesting for me. So unmute yourselves, okay, and let me know what's the component of the ones that I told you that always a CV has, that this one is missing, and I'm not referring to the actual structure or layout. No one?
A unique profile, like the USP, basically.
Is not unique.
Yeah.
Yes. Someone? Probably was Alban. So it's not unique. So I told you when we started, if you can take away something, one thing from today's session, that your CV should be adjusted to that specific project assignment, should reflect to the client what's your purpose. Here, we don't understand if she wants to be hired as a ghostwriter, as a localization expert, as a freelancer, as an in-house, as a language tutor. Here also we see. And the second thing that we're missing here, and I wouldn't like you to follow, apart from the format, apart from the actual, that is how many pages here, for me, it's the fact that has no relevance. So someone can read it even if they are a localization company, they want to hire as a language tutor, they are e-commerce, I don't know what in Wiki experts country representative is. Okay, so for so many different skills, without prioritization, without highlighting any specific. So what the actually end user of this copy understands, that this is a generic profile, portfolio, or website used for any kind of purposes, that it includes all the work experience that someone has from the starting point until now, which is not the purpose of a CV, okay? That it has all those specializations here listed, which is too late, should be high on the list, with the first thing that someone should highlight. Technical skills, okay. Technical skills, I don't think that we need a whole page just for this additional information, but yes, it's very nicely, creatively created. Personal skills and creative, have good communication. I would prefer to see that in the profile summary section. Continue professional development, even if you included some of it at the beginning, now you have the rest of this. So that's the logical order we discussed. We don't want to be mixed the sections. People, they need a logical order to understand what they're reading. So apart from interchanging to different formats and colors, from blue to white to pink, and then changing, which for me distracting, doesn't keep the focus on a specific information we would like them to focus for 15 seconds. For 50 seconds, no one is going to read up to now. The 15 seconds are going away, like when we went to the second slide here. So what does include from this dose? It's not relevant, it's not unique, it uses special fonts, it uses so much graphic, it uses photos, it uses different colors that is not consistent with the branding. If it was with the branding, that would be okay. It doesn't follow a logical order. It includes useless information, especially for someone, let's say, that they focus only on her tutoring background or on her localization background for a specific specialization. The rest of the information is useless for them, not for Lara. Lara has an exceptional background, exceptional experience, but it's not highlighted the way that the client wants to see it. And then she has included in a file that she has saved it as a CV Lara Moro, which I don't want to be named like this. A CV Lara Moro has also portfolio. No, it's like the guy I was mentioning, earlier. He has also certification reference letter in a PDF format that is called CV. If it's a CV, it's a CV. If it's a portfolio, it should be a different file called portfolio. So I assume that Lara, your CV ends here, and most probably you would like maybe also feedback to your portfolio. I can tell you from now on that this is not a portfolio. This is sample of your work, and this is the most common misconception in our industry, even from experts in the field. A list of your project is not a portfolio, it's a list of your project. Sample of your work is sample of your work, it's not portfolio. Portfolio is a document you can go on Canva or templates to see what a portfolio includes, has company details, contact details, your about section, your services, your specialization, 3 recent project targeted, okay, case studies, success studies, testimonials, a call to action, book a call with me, let's say, send me an email, contact details. That's the portfolio. Okay, I'm open to discuss different kind of portfolios, but this one is a sample of your work. First of all, it's not easy to be read, which is the first thing I told you. Something should be easy to be read, doesn't make sure like I need to go, spread and see what's mentioned here. The direct clients, if it's addressed to direct clients, they cannot understand if your translation is good. They cannot compare source and target work here. They don't have the skills. That's why they never asked it, unless they have an internal department who does this, okay? So that's why another reason we don't send the sample of our work to end clients, direct clients, because first of all, they cannot evaluate them. Secondly, they don't expect to see in a portfolio. They expect to see the order I just mentioned, or maybe an alternative way of the order I just mentioned. But the main idea behind the portfolio tab based on your website or the portfolio, guys, because I need to go also, I have a call. But for me, it's really important for you to understand that a portfolio shows the success stories of yours. Success stories for direct clients are not, the sample of your work. They cannot evaluate, doesn't give them any success. Okay. And this is a sample of your work. And first of all, you need to have the approval of the owner of the content to share it publicly, this one. So I assume that, Lara, by sending this to your clients, other clients, you have at least for all of those, have written approval to share the content. No. Okay, we don't include, especially for ghostwriting, I know. So that was it, guys. I need to go for another call. Any questions? Lara, book a call with me to discuss it further. I have asked you since the last session because I want like you to create a niche and targeted LinkedIn profile. So if you need also help with your LinkedIn profile and with your CV, book a free call with me. All of you guys, you have a free call with me. You can keep it for the end of the program if you don't have any problem. I see that Lara, she has here a problem to create targeted material. And for me, it's really important for you to reach 10K months, okay? No one is going to reach, at least in my experience, 10K months if they have such approaches in marketing, general approaches. And the people who were able to reach 10K months, because I've seen that happening, apart from my own case study, from people I've been helping, like Leana, Richard, I have them even, some of them publicly shared on my YouTube channel. The last round, 2 of them, because they have had targeted LinkedIn profiles, CVs, and portfolios, like Leana is going to share. Like the 2 people in the last round, they didn't want publicly to share the details, but they gave me written testimonials. They reached 10K months in 2 months before the program ends, the fully booked translator formula, only with email marketing, but they had only 1 or 2 niches. But those niches were very clearly stated on their about section and their CV. So I hope that has been made clear to all of you guys. If you want to reach 5-figure months, if you want to be the go-to expert in your field, to be fully booked again and again, and that to be your, you can say strategy or process, follow this advice at least. Targeted, 1, maximum 3 specializations. So Federico, question before we close?
Yeah, exactly. Apropos talking about these approvals from the clients, is it okay, for example, if I make a screenshot of a published website that I translated? Should I ask the permission even if I make a screenshot of the published website?
I would prefer to see the link.
Okay, the link.
But if it's something publicly shared, I would definitely check your country's legislation. But here in Greece, if something is already publicly shared, you can use the format that is publicly shared to resell it.
All right.
But also, the clients, most probably, you have also the approval, not the approval to resell it, but you were the translator, not a team of translators, not a subcontractor of another agency, but you were the translator. The moment that I shared my published work, I was the translator and I was mentioned, my name was mentioned underneath the published articles. Any questions before we close? Thank you so much for staying so late.
No, thank you.
Because I know all of you, you're on vacations, both of you.
Thank you.
Children at home, so Federico is so tired. Thank you so much, guys. I need to go to the next call. Ask me any questions you might come up later on. Tag me in the group. Let's have a discussion, but I will see you anyway this Friday, so we can discuss it even further. And I wait to see your messages. Is that correct?
Yes.
Friday, yeah.
Friday, I will wait to see your messages. Good luck, guys.
Cool.
Thank you.
Much. Happy evening, everyone.